Chapter 1793. At the third table in the right corner, a foreigner, should be Kevin. He was watching the performance without eating snacks or drinking. He just watched the performance quietly. Yang Ming looked at the performance on the stage. It was an acrobatic group performing acrobatics. In the nightclub, this kind of show was not as attractive as erotic dances. Most of the people in the nightclub were doing their own things with no interest, waiting for the next erotic dance performance. Only Kevin was watching it with great interest, as if he had not watched such a show for a long time. Yang Ming smiled and walked in the direction of Kevin. After taking a few steps, Kevin obviously saw Yang Ming coming in his direction and immediately raised his guard. In his seat, there was no one else except for a couple entangled behind him. Yang Ming came over at this time. Obviously, it was impossible for him to come over for the couple. The most likely reason was that he was looking for him. Kevin still maintained his posture of watching the performance, but his eyes had been paying attention to Yang Ming's movements. Seeing that Yang Ming really walked to his table and sat opposite him, Kevin frowned. "I'm sorry, sir. I don't know you. Can you please sit in another seat?" Hee hee. Yang Ming looked at Kevin, smiled and said, "Kevin, right? You are." Kevin frowned. In the past few days, he was a little sensitive to Asians because of Li Dianqi's matter. He subconsciously became nervous. "Hee hee, are you from Central?" Yang Ming did not answer Kevin's question but continued to ask. "You?" Kevin was even more shocked. "Who exactly are you?" After listening to Kevin's question, Yang Ming was completely convinced this time that Kevin was from Central. Because after he heard the word Central, he didn't have any doubts. Instead, he continued to ask who he was. "Dr. Benjamin asked you to come." Yang Ming continued. "You are." Kevin frowned and suddenly blurted out a sentence in English that was difficult to understand. With Yang Ming's hearing, he could not hear what he said clearly. Yang Ming knew that it was not good. It might be a secret signal. It seems that it is impossible to get more useful information from Kevin. Yang Ming originally planned to use this kind of specious conversation to get some information from Kevin, but now that Kevin found out, Yang Ming could only give up. Seeing that Yang Ming did not speak, Kevin's face suddenly sank. Just as he was about to say something, Yang Ming suddenly stood up and ran outside. "Stop!" Kevin increasingly felt that Yang Ming was suspicious. Yang Ming knew too many things, so Kevin naturally had to figure out what was going on. He couldn't let Yang Ming run away like this. Even Li Dianqi did not know Kevin's identity, let alone Central and Dr. Benjamin. Yang Ming's words made Kevin a little confused, so his intuition told him that this person must stay here. Otherwise, it would be a big problem. Thinking of this, Kevin immediately stood up and chased after Yang Ming. Yang Ming used all his strength this time. He almost lost when he raced with Jetson last time. This kind of monster from Central was not human at all. He ran as fast as a train. No matter how powerful Yang Ming was, he was still a human after all. His speed was still slower than Jetson's. The reason why Yang Ming was able to outrun Jetson last time was entirely because he relied on his X-ray vision to familiarize himself with the terrain and shuttled between the obstacles. So this time, Yang Ming also learned to be smart. He didn't wait for Kevin to react, so he ran away. Kevin didn't expect Yang Ming to run immediately after listening to his words. What kind of person is this? Even if Yang Ming didn't answer my secret signal, he didn't have to run away immediately. So although Kevin immediately got up and chased out, he was still half a beat slower. He pulled away from Yang Ming. Under the surprised eyes of the security guard, Yang Ming quickly left the nightclub, went upstairs, and ran out of the hotel lobby. Although the security guard shouted behind him, Yang Ming ignored him. Out of the hotel, he went directly to Lu Yezi's Passat. Drive. Lu Yezi was already ready. As soon as Yang Ming got in the car, he immediately changed gears and stepped on the accelerator. The car flew out directly. At this time, Kevin also caught up to the door. When he saw Yang Ming get in the car and leave, he didn't want to be outdone. He quickly got into another car in the parking lot. Obviously, it was his own car. He started the car and chased after Yang Ming's Passat. Damn, this guy runs really fast. You run even faster. Lu Yezi sighed. He also saw what kind of speed Yang Ming used to run out of the hotel just now. If Li Dianqi had such a speed, I wouldn't have been able to catch up with him. I'm not fast, but he is faster than me. Yang Ming pointed to the back. If I were faster than him, I wouldn't need a car. I would just run to lead him to an alley and kill him directly. Damn, that guy is simply inhuman. Lu Yezi skillfully operated the car. His purpose was not to get rid of Kevin, but to lead him to an open place where there was no one, so he didn't need to use any driving skills. Kevin's driving skills were obviously not very good. He didn't know how to drift. He only knew how to step on the accelerator. He was driving a Mercedes-Benz business car, so his speed couldn't go up. Therefore, he always kept a certain distance from Lu Yezi in front of him. He couldn't catch up. Gradually, there were fewer and fewer cars on the road, and the place was getting more and more remote. Kevin frowned. Where is this person leading me? Is there an ambush? However, Kevin wasn't afraid of an ambush. So what if there is a group of people ambushing me? I will still deal with them as usual. It won't affect me at all. Even if I really can't do anything to them, can't I just run? I believe that as long as I run, no one can catch up with me. Where is this place? Asked Yang Ming. I don't know. I'm also driving to a place with fewer people. I'm not very familiar with Las Vegas. Lu Yezi said apologetically. Well, drive a little further, then turn into the second fork, said Yang Ming. He had already observed with his special ability. At the end of the second fork was a piece of barren land. There was no one at the moment. Lu Yezi nodded. Not far ahead, they turned into the second fork that looked a little dim. He didn't ask why Yang Ming let him go like this. Yang Ming must have his own reasons. Kevin was baffled. He didn't know what the people in front of him were going to do. Seeing them turn the corner, he also turned in. Boss, you are really awesome. You know that there is an open space ahead. Lu Yezi said excitedly when he saw the open space in front of him from afar. Chapter 1794. Oh. I only found out before you turned the corner. Yang Ming didn't deny it. Lu Yezi would know about his ability sooner or later. Yang Ming didn't need to hide it. Both of them would soon go to Yunnan for the same goal. There was no need to hide. Kevin was even more baffled this time. Previously, he was worried that Yang Ming would bring out a lot of helpers. Although he could annihilate all of them, it would take some effort. At this moment, Yang Ming came to an open space because of him. There was no end in sight. At a glance, one could see if there was an ambush. It was impossible to hide anyone here. In other words, Yang Ming didn't intend to ambush him, but deliberately led him to a place where there was no one. What does this mean? Kevin naturally didn't think that Yang Ming wanted to kill him because he was very confident that he was invincible. He was the most powerful. He was invincible. So his first thought was that Yang Ming found a place where there was no one and wanted to talk to him about something. Seeing Yang Ming's car stop, Kevin also stopped the car and got out. He was not afraid of Yang Ming's sneak attack. He would not refuse any sneak attack. Bro, what do we do now? Lu Yezi stopped the car and asked when he saw Kevin get out. Don't you have a sniper rifle? Just shoot for fun in a while. Anyway, there are plenty of bullets. Yang Ming said, when I tell you where to shoot, just shoot. No problem. Lu Yezi nodded and agreed. Then, should I get out? You don't have to get out. Just stay in the car. After Yang Ming finished speaking, he got out of the car. Who the hell are you? What are you going to do? Asked Kevin. Hee, do you really want to know? Asked Yang Ming with a smile. Of course. Otherwise, why did you lead me here? Said Kevin. Oh, I lured you here because I was a little curious. Yang Ming continued to talk nonsense with Kevin, because Yang Ming's eyes were now secretly scanning the inside of Kevin's body. Previously, when facing Jetson, Yang Ming didn't have time to do a human CT scan on him because of time constraints. In desperation, he led him into the boiler and burned him into gas. Therefore, Yang Ming didn't know much about Jetson's structure. However, he gave Kevin an X-ray, which shocked Yang Ming. Was he even human? Obviously not. This was because Kevin's body was filled with mechanical structures and not normal human organs. However, what shocked Yang Ming the most was that Kevin's head actually had a normal physiological structure. There was a brain and various organs inside, but they were connected to the inside of the body by a few wires. What the hell was that? Yang Ming was shocked. He didn't expect that the technological level of Central had reached such a level that it could combine machinery and the human brain. This could also explain why Kevin and Jetson's bodies were so hard that they were not afraid of being hit. They were made of machinery, so how could they be afraid of being hit? However, when he thought of his magical glasses, didn't they also inexplicably fuse with his body? Thinking of this, Yang Ming didn't think that Kevin was surprised. Maybe the principle was similar, and his glasses were even better than theirs. Their bodies and head still needed to be connected by wires, but his glasses didn't need any wires at all. They were worn directly on his eyes, and it didn't take long for them to naturally fuse together. It seemed that his glasses were much more advanced than theirs. In order to find Kevin's physical weakness, Yang Ming talked nonsense with Kevin. Curious. I'm curious how you know about Central and Dr. Benjamin. Although in Kevin's opinion, it was easy to kill Yang Ming, there were some things that he had to ask clearly. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to explain it to Dr. Benjamin when he returned. Oh, I also know that you are a robot. Am I right? Said Yang Ming with a smile. You. Kevin's face became more and more ugly. No one knew that he was a robot except for the people in Central. Even among the people in Central, only a few core members of the Research and Development Department and the head of the Research and Development Department, Dr. Benjamin, knew about it. The members of the other departments didn't know that he was a robot. And the person in front of him actually knew that he was a robot. Then, what was his origin? Who the hell are you? Tell me, how did you know? Asked Kevin hurriedly. Oh, how did I know? Yang Ming continued to talk nonsense, but his eyes kept scanning Kevin's body. This Kevin is really well made. He is armed from head to toe to the teeth, wait, to the feet. Suddenly, Yang Ming saw something like a data interface on Kevin's feet. Come to think of it, this thing is the data interface used by Kevin to exchange programs with the outside world, right? Perhaps, this is his weakness. If he broke the program interface and short-circuited it, would he be done for? Yang Ming thought evilly, what are you talking about? What do you mean, how did you know? I'm asking you. If I knew, why would I ask you? Kevin was inexplicable by Yang Ming's words. He didn't know what nonsense he was talking about. Oh, well, didn't you ask me how I know that you are a robot? Then, I will tell you. Since Yang Ming found Kevin's weakness, he didn't talk nonsense with him. Because I have seen a person before. His name is Jetson. Jetson. Kevin's face suddenly changed. Do you know Jetson? Oh, I know him. I killed him. How can I not know him? Yang Ming smiled. You killed him. Impossible. How can Jetson be killed so easily? Kevin looked at Yang Ming in disbelief. Jetson had indeed disappeared for a long time and hadn't appeared again. Dr. Yang Ming also kept quiet about this. At this moment, hearing the news that Yang Ming killed Jetson, Kevin didn't quite believe it, but he still had some doubts. After all, Yang Ming can know so many things, and Jetson has indeed disappeared. Did he really kill Jetson? It wasn't easy. It was very troublesome to kill him. Yang Ming said, he is like you. He has a copper head and iron arms, just like Ultraman. How can I kill him so easily? I finally lured that fool into the furnace room's burning pool, and he was directly burned into smoke. Did you really kill Jetson? Kevin asked in surprise. Why would I lie to you? Yang Ming shrugged. Now you know why I lured you here, right? Because the next target I'm going to kill is you, Mr. Kevin. Chapter 1795. A chill finally surged up from the bottom of Kevin's heart. Yang Ming lured me here. Sure enough, it is not a good thing. No wonder this kid wanted to find a place where no one was around. It turns out that he didn't want to ambush me, nor did he go the wrong way in a panic. He wants to kill me. Although Kevin didn't quite believe that Yang Ming could kill him, even if Jetson was really killed by Yang Ming, it was only achieved by Yang Ming using external forces. With the temperature of the high-temperature boiler, even a lump of iron would melt, let alone Jetson. However, there was neither a boiler nor a volcano here. Yang Ming wants to kill me. Isn't that a fool's dream? Kevin looked at the endless emptiness, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. You mean, you can kill me here? You were changed into a robot. Didn't your brain not work? Are you born mentally retarded or have a hearing problem? Didn't you hear or understand what I said? I just want to kill you here. Otherwise, why would I lure you here? Don't you have anything else to do? Yang Ming looked at Kevin with some sarcasm. Kevin was even more confused when he heard Yang Ming's confident words. Could it be that Yang Ming has some unique skill? It can't be. There is nothing around here that can cause harm to me, right? Really? I'd like to see how you will kill me. Kevin looked around again and confirmed that there was really nothing nearby that could hurt him. Oh, then I'll show you something. Don't worry. Yang Ming lowered his head and put his head into the Passat. He reached out and took out the heavy sniper rifle from the car, but lowered his voice and said to Lu Yezi, I will lure him to do some actions in a while. When the time comes, you just need to aim the gun at his right foot and shoot. Understood. Although Lu Yezi didn't know what Yang Ming's intention was, since Yang Ming said so, he must have his reasons. This was not the time to ask more. Kevin was watching from the side. Even if Lu Yezi had something to say, he couldn't ask at this time. Yang Ming had his back to Kevin when he spoke, so he wasn't worried that Kevin could see. Kevin's eyes couldn't see through things like Yang Ming's, and his body also blocked Yang Ming, so Yang Ming didn't have to worry about Kevin seeing Lu Yezi's words. The reason why Yang Ming didn't hesitate to turn his back to Kevin was that Yang Ming had a 360-degree vision ability. He could monitor Kevin's movements at any time, so he wasn't afraid that Kevin would play tricks. On the other hand, Yang Ming had already guessed that Kevin would definitely be curious about what he wanted to show him. He was also very sure that Yang Ming couldn't do anything to him, so he wasn't in a hurry to make a move. He wanted to figure out the truth of some things. Oh, what do you think of this? Yang Ming raised the heavy sniper rifle in his hand and aimed it at Kevin. You want to kill me with this? Kevin suddenly smiled after seeing it. Is this why he is so confident? He thinks he can kill me with a sniper rifle. Kevin felt that the person in front of him was really stupid and naive. Yeah, is there anything wrong with it? Asked Yang Ming. Nothing. Okay, you can die now. Kevin was a little disappointed when he saw Yang Ming's so-called weapon that could kill him. He only took a heavy sniper rifle and wanted to kill him. Kevin was a little speechless and didn't want to waste more time with Yang Ming. He also knew most of Yang Ming's secrets. Yang Ming knew so many secrets because he killed Jetson. Therefore, Kevin figured out how Yang Ming knew the information so that he could report to Dr. Yang Ming. Now, his only task was to kill Yang Ming. Really? Then I want to see who will die. Yang Ming pretended to raise the heavy sniper rifle and shot at Kevin's heart. Kevin didn't even dodge. He looked at Yang Ming sarcastically and waited for the bullet to hit him. Then, it bounced off and fell to the ground. Oh, you used armor-piercing bullets, but it's still useless. Kevin looked at Yang Ming regretfully, as if he was looking at a fool who was about to die. Damn, it can't be. Even armor-piercing bullets are useless against you. Yang Ming's face showed a horrified expression. You killed Jetson, so I thought you were very powerful. I didn't expect you to be so stupid. Kevin sneered. Haven't you tested armor-piercing bullets on Jetson? Don't you know that this thing has no effect on me? Bang! 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 Yang Ming fired 3 more shots at Kevin's chest, abdomen, and head, but unfortunately, all the bullets bounced off. It seems that you don't want to give up. You can try again, and I will let you know why you are going to die. Kevin looked as if he had already defeated Yang Ming. In fact, he already felt that he could completely defeat Yang Ming because the only thing Yang Ming could use was a broken sniper rifle, which had no effect on him at all. However, something unexpected happened. Yang Ming did not continue to shoot at him. Instead, he suddenly threw down the sniper rifle, turned around, and ran. Kevin was stunned. Fuck, why are you playing this trick again? You can't beat me, so you run away. However, do you think you can run away? Are you still as fast as me? I may not be able to catch up with you when driving, but when it comes to running on foot, you are not my opponent. Although he was half a beat slower, Kevin still chased after him. Yang Ming ran while thinking about how to get Kevin to lift his right foot. However, the most effective way was to use himself as bait and let Kevin kick him. Then, Liu Yezi would have a chance to take advantage of it. Thinking of this, while Yang Ming was running, he was thinking about how to get Kevin to kick him over. He circled a few times in the open space. If it weren't for Yang Ming's quick reflexes that caught Kevin off guard while running in a straight line, he would have been caught by him. Kevin also secretly scolded Yang Ming for being cunning. He was so angry that he really wanted to kick this kid to death, but he just couldn't catch up. This kid can actually suddenly change directions while running in a straight line. This doesn't conform to the principle of inertia at all. This kid's body coordination has reached such a level. Although Kevin was a robot, he couldn't violate the principles of physics like Yang Ming. He needed a buffer to stop in the middle of running. After a while, the distance between him and Yang Ming increased. Every time he was about to catch up with Yang Ming, he was deftly shaken off by Yang Ming. Kevin was so angry that he roared, "Kid, don't let me catch you, or I will kick you to death." Yang Ming was originally thinking about how to get Kevin to kick him. He was overjoyed when he heard Kevin's words. Yang Ming was also exhausted. If Kevin didn't speak, he might not be able to hold on. Chapter 1796. Yang Ming once again turned the direction of his running and rushed towards Xiao Yezi's Passat, causing Kevin, who was chasing after him, to stagger again. Kevin was really angry this time. He rushed over with a roar, "When I catch up with you, it will be your death. Come on. Aren't you powerful? Aren't you going to kick me to death? Let's see how you're going to kick me." Yang Ming said jokingly. He turned his head and made a big face at Kevin. "Silly robot, do you think you're very powerful? You still can't outrun me." Yang Ming was happily mocking Kevin. As a result, he didn't look at the road in front of him. He had accidentally bumped into the hood of Lu Yezi's Passat and fell directly on the hood of the car. This was also the reason why Yang Ming said, "Ha ha ha ha." Kevin really wanted to laugh out loud. What does it mean that extreme joy begets sorrow? What does it mean that things will go in the opposite direction when they reach an extreme? Aren't you smug? Aren't you very capable? Aren't you awesome? Didn't you laugh at me for not being able to catch up with you? Didn't you want me to kick you to death? This time, the heavens are helping me. Who asked you to walk without your eyes? Who asked you to look back at me? Who asked you to make a face at me? Is it over? Isn't it a tragedy? Are you dumbfounded? Grandpa is here. Just wait to be kicked to death. Ha! In an instant, Kevin's body was full of energy and motivation. He rushed towards Yang Ming quickly. He wanted to give Yang Ming a flying kick and end Yang Ming's young life. Yang Ming lay on the hood of the car and pretended to be hit hard. He grimaced, but he didn't notice Kevin, who was chasing behind him. Kevin leaped up and kicked at Yang Ming. Kevin could imagine Yang Ming being sent flying by his kick. His bones and tendons would all be broken, and he would die in midair. Thinking of this, Kevin felt an inexplicable sense of comfort in his heart. "Ha!" Yang Ming sneered. "Kevin, I didn't mean to lie to you. If I didn't lie to you, I would have been kicked to death by you. So, either I die or you die. You should die. I still have to go to Yunnan. I can't die now." Bang! A gunshot suddenly sounded. At the same time, Yang Ming suddenly rolled to the side from the hood of the car. Boom! Kevin's foot landed on the hood of the car, directly kicking a hole in the hood of the car. Yang Ming couldn't help but be speechless. Fortunately, he dodged quickly. Otherwise, wouldn't this kick have pierced through him? Even if he didn't die, he would be half dead and crippled. Kevin's impact was still quite strong. However, after Kevin's legs sank into the hood of the car, he never lifted it again. Yang Ming also breathed a sigh of relief. If this still couldn't deal with Kevin, then he could only take the opportunity to get into Lu Yezi's car and let him escape quickly. He would give up this mission for the time being. Lu Yezi was worthy of being the ace elite of the field team. When Yang Ming and Kevin were chasing, he prepared a heavy sniper and waited to aim at Kevin's right foot. The moment Yang Ming fell on the hood of the car, Lu Yezi had already guessed that Yang Ming was luring the enemy. Otherwise, how could the ace of the Secret Service team be so stupid? He was not caught by the enemy, but he hit the hood of the car and couldn't get up. If this were to spread, wouldn't he be laughed at to death? So this was obviously impossible. So, Lu Yezi waited for Kevin to kick over. As a result, Kevin really did kick over. Lu Yezi didn't let him go and shot him directly at the center of his right foot. Of course, Lu Yezi was also very nervous. Although Yang Ming asked him to aim at the center of Kevin's right foot, he didn't tell him the basis, so Lu Yezi wasn't sure if this shot would be effective, but now, it seemed that Kevin didn't move for a long time. It seemed that this shot was effective. Lu Yezi pushed open the door and got out of the car. Looking at the big hole in the hood of the car caused by Kevin's kick, he couldn't help but have some lingering fear. If this kick hit Yang Ming, wouldn't Yang Ming be done for immediately? "Bro, are you okay?" Lu Yezi glanced at the motionless Kevin and then asked Yang Ming. At this time, Young Ming also got up from the ground, patted the soil on his body, and shook his head. I'm fine. I didn't expect it to really work. This guy is really tragic. He was played by me just like that. He's brainless. Lu Yezi said, half human and half machine. If that's not brainless, then what is? Pfft. Yang Ming listened to Lu Yezi's explanation and couldn't help but laugh. According to what you said, he is really brainless. Hee. By the way, bro, is this guy dead? Lu Yezi was a little afraid to touch Kevin. Is he dead? Yang Ming glanced at Kevin's feet. Lu Yezi's shot was really fierce. The armor-piercing bullet penetrated through the interface and directly smashed a part of Kevin's body and the wires. The most powerful thing was that the power cable at his feet was destroyed. It would be strange if this guy could still move. After hearing Yang Ming say that Kevin was dead, Lu Yezi dared to reach out and pull Kevin out. He threw him on the ground. It seems that he is really dead, but it's a pity. This is Las Vegas. It's not good to bring such a corpse back to China. Otherwise, it would be helpful to our research institute. Lu Yezi was a little regretful. He also knew that the technology on Kevin's body was much more valuable than the chip in his hand. Oh, then I'll think of a way. Yang Ming listened to Lu Yezi's words and thought, this is my last contribution to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau before I go to Yunnan. If I can't come back, the people in the Supernatural Investigation Bureau will remember my contribution and take care of my family. That's enough, you have a way. Lu Yezi was stunned. He suddenly remembered that Yang Ming's connections in Las Vegas were quite extensive. And, almost. I'll ask if there are any smugglers and take him back directly. Yang Ming nodded and said. Bro, you are fierce. Lu Yezi couldn't help but sigh. Yang Ming is really awesome. He has more connections abroad than in China. Let's not talk about this first. Let's see if the chip is on him. When Yang Ming said this, he had already begun to use his X-ray vision to find the whereabouts of the chip. It's in the pocket on the inside of his vest. Just take it out. Oh. Lu Yezi undoubtedly obeyed Yang Ming's words. He reached out and untied Kevin's jacket, then put his hand into the pocket on the inside of Kevin's vest. Sure enough, he felt something inside. He took it out and saw that it was the missing chip that he was looking for. However, Lu Yezi was not surprised. Now, he was no longer surprised by Yang Ming's magic. He was completely convinced by Yang Ming. Chapter 1797. After Lu Yezi confirmed that the chip was intact, he let out a sigh of relief. He thought about how he had followed Li Dianqi for many days and finally arrived in Las Vegas. With the help of Yang Ming, he captured Li Dianqi. However, the thing in his hands had already been handed over. He deeply understood this kind of loss. He brought a few colleagues. According to the team's level classification, they were also advanced yellow rank experts. However, they could not even withstand a single blow from Kevin. They were directly beaten until their bones were fractured and they were sent to the hospital. This made Lu Yezi shocked and disappointed at the same time. He even wanted to give up and return to China. After all, in a situation where they could not compete at all, no matter how many people went up, they would just die. Although the thing in the chip was important, it was meaningless to make unnecessary sacrifices. He would rather not have the thing in the chip to preserve his own strength. After reporting the situation here to the higher-ups, Lu Yezi did not expect that the higher-ups would not let them evacuate. Instead, they said that they would send an expert over. What surprised Lu Yezi was that this expert was actually Yang Ming, who helped him capture Li Dianqi. This person turned out to be the ace of the Secret Service team, which was equivalent to his own position in the field team. However, the field team was one level lower than the Secret Service team. The Secret Service team had many more experts than the field team, and they were also much more powerful. This was because they carried out special missions, which were much more difficult than ordinary field team missions. What surprised Lu Yezi even more was that Yang Ming was actually the person he needed to cooperate with for the Yunnan trip. Previously, the higher-ups did not say it in detail. They only asked him to go back to recuperate after this mission and go all out to deal with the Yunnan trip. His main task for this Yunnan trip was actually to cooperate with others. This made Lu Yezi very depressed. He was the ace of the field team. Every time he went out on a mission, he was the one leading the team. This time, he actually had to cooperate with others. Although Lu Yezi also knew that this mission was definitely very dangerous, and even if he had grievances, he had to absolutely obey the arrangements of the higher-ups. However, Lu Yezi felt a little unbalanced in his heart. He was the ace of the field team. How could he cooperate with others? However, this time, the higher-ups called and said that the person he was cooperating with was actually Yang Ming. Yang Ming would also cooperate with him in this mission to deal with Kevin. Kevin was still somewhat convinced by Yang Ming. After all, Yang Ming had helped him catch Li Dianqi this time. He was still very grateful to Yang Ming. Lu Yezi felt much better when he heard that Yang Ming was also on the trip to Yunnan. At the very least, Yang Ming had caught the person that he had not caught, which meant that Yang Ming was better than him. Moreover, he was the trump card of the Secret Service team, so he was definitely better than him, the trump card of the field team. However, at this moment, Lu Yezi was already impressed by Yang Ming. Kevin, who was so difficult to deal with, was actually killed by Yang Ming. He died just like that. Originally, Lu Yezi thought that it would be a great blessing to be able to snatch the things in Kevin's hands. As for killing Kevin, that was something that he didn't even dare to think about. The enemy was too strong. He had no confidence at all. However, Yang Ming did it just like that. It looked very simple and very funny. It was just that Kevin was too miserable. He was played by Yang Ming like a clown. He fell into Yang Ming's trap completely unprepared. As a result, he was lured over by Yang Ming and killed by Lu Yezi's sniper shot. Of course, although Lu Yezi was the one who shot Kevin to death, Lu Yezi did not feel that he was the one who killed Kevin. He just fired a shot. Any member of the field team could do that. Although not everyone was a sharpshooter, if they could still miss at such a close distance, they would not be able to join the field team. He just did it according to Yang Ming's request and completely carried out Yang Ming's orders. Therefore, this credit was not his at all. Lu Yezi was still aware of this. Bro, is this guy really finished? Lu Yezi kicked Kevin on the ground. Connect the power source. Maybe it can still be used. Yang Ming was not very clear about this kind of high-precision technological equipment. He had to take it back and let the people at the research institute study it. Lu Yezi was speechless. Listening to Yang Ming's words, he did not seem to regard Kevin as a person at all, but a broken machine. However, Kevin was indeed a robot. Move him into the car first. I will find someone to transport him back to China. As long as there is no problem with the domestic customs, I will be fine, said Yang Ming. Domestic customs. Lu Yezi was speechless. He did not expect Yang Ming to be worried about this. He did not know what to say. He was worried about how to get Kevin's body out of Las Vegas and out of the border. As for returning to China, he did not even consider it at all. The Supernatural Investigation Bureau's ship had more privileges than the military's ship. They could enter the customs completely without inspection. Yang Ming was actually worried about this. He was a little puzzled. Does Yang Ming know what kind of department he is working in? Yeah, it's not easy to transport a body back into the border. Yang Ming did not think so much. According to his logic, he would let old Buffon find a smuggler to smuggle Kevin's body back. Lu Yezi said, "Bro, I am speechless. For this kind of thing, with just a phone call, the higher-ups will send someone to pick us up. What does it have to do with the customs? Oh. Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. I forgot the purpose of this body. It is our own department's research institute that wants to study it. I thought we were going to take it back privately." Lu Yezi did not know what to say. He carried Kevin's body into the car and said, "Bro, what do we do now? Go back to the Douglas Vast Hotel. I will call someone to get Kevin back first. We will go back through the normal channels." Yang Ming said, "That chip. If you have special channels, you can take it back yourself. If you are not worried, you can take it back together with Kevin's body. The people I find can be completely assured. Then let's take it back together." Lu Yezi hesitated for a moment and nodded. It was impossible to bring the chip on the plane. Who knew if there were people from the center at the security check? If they were discovered, although the other party would not rob them openly, their identities would be exposed. Therefore, it was safer to take it back with Yang Ming. Now, Lu Yezi had absolute trust in Yang Ming. He unconditionally chose to believe what Yang Ming said. "Okay, then it's settled. You report the results to the higher-ups. Then, we will prepare to return to China. We have been here for too long. I am a little homesick." Yang Ming nodded and instructed. Chapter 1798. Huang Yukai complained as he sat next to his boss, Falcon. He frowned. "Boss, that Kevin, why did he leave after just a few minutes? We entertained him for 2 days, but he didn't even say anything. He just said that he had an urgent mission and left. Isn't this fooling us?" It was no wonder that Huang Yukai was annoyed. He ran from Songjiang to Donghai Airport to personally pick him up, and then served him with delicious food, drinks, and fun. Almost everything that Kevin wanted to do was arranged by Huang Yukai first. Without waiting for Kevin to speak, Huang Yukai served him like a master, hoping that this Kevin could teach Yang Ming a lesson. Of course, this was also after Kevin showed his kung fu that Huang Yukai was like this. Otherwise, Huang Yukai wouldn't be so attentive with just a few words from his boss, Falcon. At that time, Kevin smashed a big stone with a slap, and kicked a hole in the reinforced concrete house with a kick. With this shocking strength, it was easy to cripple Yang Ming. What shocked Huang Yukai the most was that Kevin was invulnerable. At first, Kevin asked Huang Yukai to stab his body with a knife. Huang Yukai didn't dare, but when he saw Kevin stab himself with a smile with a dagger, the dagger was bent and broken, but Kevin was still fine. All of this was done under the premise that Kevin didn't wear any protective clothing, so Huang Yukai was also certain that the person in front of him was a master. Therefore, he tried everything to please Kevin, hoping to use Kevin's power to avenge Wang Jitao and his son. Kevin also agreed very well, saying that there would be no problem. As a result, within 2.5 days, he said that he had a special mission to perform, and then left. This made Huang Yukai very depressed. All the previous groveling was used on a dog. "Yukai, don't worry. I have contacted Dr. Benjamin. The doctor said that Kevin did have a very important mission to perform, so he left temporarily." Falcon explained. Kevin is not the only master on the doctor's side. Wasn't the one who was sent last time also a master? In the end, there was no news halfway. This time, he came, but he left after 2 days. Huang Yukai was very depressed. It's not that there's only one expert. However, the key issue is that Kevin is closer to us. His mission this time seems to be to receive someone from our side. Falcon said. So, let's wait for a while. The doctor has already said that once Kevin is done with his mission, he will immediately rush over. Alright, that's the only way. Sigh. Huang Yukai sighed. Boss, I just feel a little aggrieved. Don't take it to heart. Impossible. Falcon waved his hand. Actually, I'm more anxious than you. But fortunately, the doctor has already guaranteed that there won't be any mistakes this time. Don't worry. Since the doctor has said so, Kevin will definitely rush over as soon as the mission is over. We don't have to worry. Since the boss said so, I am relieved. Huang Yukai breathed a sigh of relief. Of course, these two well-planned fools did not know that Kevin was already dead at this moment. Just like Jetson, whom they had been looking forward to, he was killed by Yang Ming. They were still counting on these two guys to deal with Yang Ming. If they knew that Yang Ming had killed the two of them first, they did not know if they would still be so confident and look forward to it. However, they naturally would not know the truth, so they could only happily hope that Kevin could come back and kill Yang Ming. This was a beautiful dream. With almost no effort, Kevin was loaded into the Buffon family's cargo container to be shipped to Asia. In old Buffon's words, the Buffon family did not need to smuggle at all. It was openly shipped, and it was exempt from inspection in Europe and the United States. It was unimpeded. No one would check the Buffon family's goods for no reason. But as for entering China after leaving the country, it was Yang Ming's problem to solve. Of course, Yang Ming now knew that this was not a problem at all. Liu Yezi reported the matter to the higher-ups. The higher-ups were very surprised. They were very happy that not only could they get the chip back, but they could also get a scientific research corpse. Of course, Liu Yezi did not hide it. All the credit belonged to Yang Ming, and he was just an assistant. In fact, even if Liu Yezi wanted to hide it, the higher-ups were not fools. The things that Liu Yezi could not handle before were solved by Yang Ming. Then, whose credit did this belong to? The Supernatural Investigation Bureau had already sent people over to coordinate the entry of the ship. After the goods entered the customs, there was a special helicopter to pick them up and transport them directly to the research institute in the capital. After Yang Ming and Liu Yezi bade farewell to the fat man, they boarded the plane to return to their country. As for the spy on the fat man's side, with the fat man's many years of operation, he was quickly found out. However, this person was only a peripheral member of Central. He didn't know anything. The fat man couldn't do anything about it. He also knew that those who were sent as spies were prepared to sacrifice themselves at any time. Naturally, it was impossible to let them know too much inside information. The fat man was very grateful that Yang Ming knew the leader of the street racer gang, Langu Sr. In the future, his stronghold in Las Vegas would be safer with the protection of the street racer gang. He didn't have to be as careful as before. Yang Ming, don't worry. I, the fat man, will remember this kindness. I won't say anything about it in the future. The fat man understood Yang Ming's meaning. Yang Ming helped him so wholeheartedly to pave the way for the future. Oh, then I won't say much. I'm leaving. Yang Ming nodded. The current situation in Las Vegas is good. Keep it up. You will definitely be promoted back to China soon. Be careful. We'll meet again when we return to China. I don't want to invite no one to the banquet. The fat man laughed. People like them had already put life and death aside, so they didn't have so many taboos when they spoke. Little Yezi and I are not stupid, Yang Ming said, we won't die. You should save more money. Don't have no money to pay the bill when the time comes. Don't worry. I still have this amount of money. The fat man smiled and sent Yang Ming and Liu Yezi to the airport, then said goodbye to them. Yang Ming didn't have any nostalgia for Las Vegas. Lu Yezi, on the other hand, felt that this place where he first met boss Yang Ming was somewhat memorable. After several stops, the plane landed at the capital airport. Yang Ming said goodbye to Lu Yezi and boarded the flight to Donghai. In the departure hall, the moment before he boarded the plane, Yang Ming saw someone who surprised him. Chapter 1799. Lan Ling, it's Lan Ling. Yang Ming widened his eyes and looked at Lan Ling with a man. Yang Ming was sure that the person he saw was Lan Ling, but Lan Ling was far away from him. She was boarding from another flight. However, with Yang Ming's vision, as long as he locked onto the person, he could naturally see clearly. Yang Ming had a very uncomfortable and complicated feeling in his heart. He couldn't describe it for a while. Not only was it because of the joy of seeing Lan Ling, but it was more of a kind of bitterness. Lan Ling and the man were very close. The two of them were talking and laughing. They were talking about something intimately. It seemed that they were very close. This made Yang Ming's chest suddenly feel stuffy. That was a very beautiful man. He was beyond the adjective of handsome. The so-called beautiful man was generally the kind of man who often appeared in Korean TV dramas. In layman's terms, it was a pretty boy. How could Lan Ling be with such a person? With Yang Ming's understanding of Lan Ling, she shouldn't like this kind of pretty boy. Could it be that her personality changed? However, it was hard to say. In almost a year, things remained the same, but people changed. Previously, Lan Ling still sent a few text messages to me, but then it became less and less. Could it be that Lan Ling really had a change of heart? This was a fact that Yang Ming found hard to accept, but the fact was in front of him. The two people were so close that Yang Ming had to believe what he saw. Although what he saw might not be true, Yang Ming's heart was really uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. He wanted to run over and ask, but Yang Ming hesitated and stopped. If he questioned Lan Ling now, it would show that he didn't trust Lan Ling and doubted her. Secondly, Yang Ming really didn't dare to ask. If what he saw was really what he imagined, then this was a fact that Yang Ming found hard to accept. Lan Ling, are you still my Lan Ling? Yang Ming felt a little weak. He didn't believe that Lan Ling would have a change of heart so quickly, but there were some things that he couldn't stop himself from thinking about. Things were often like this. It was fine if he didn't know, but when he knew that the possibility was not high, but he still thought about it over and over again. Even if there was a possibility of an accident, he would be very uneasy. Yang Ming shook his head hard. He wanted to get rid of the messy things in his mind, but he couldn't do it. Until he saw Lan Ling and the pretty boy go through the boarding gate, he regretted his indecisiveness and didn't run over and ask. Even the worst result was better than the current torment. Lan Ling seemed to have noticed that someone was watching her. The moment she passed the boarding gate, she raised her head and looked in the direction of Yang Ming. Suddenly, her face flashed with a trace of astonishment. She opened her mouth to say something, but was pulled by the pretty boy beside her and quickly entered the boarding gate. The pretty boy said something to Lan Ling, which roughly meant to let her pass quickly. The people behind were waiting. Yang Ming didn't look too closely. Now his mind was blank, he didn't know what to do. Lan Ling seemed to have noticed him at the last moment. Her sixth sense was very strong and could be considered a special ability, so it wasn't strange that she could notice him under his gaze. It was just that Lan Ling didn't have the ability to see far. It was hard to say if she could recognize him at such a distance. Although Lan Ling had entered the passage at this moment, if Yang Ming chased after her, with his military ID, he might be able to catch up without any hindrance. However, Yang Ming didn't do so because deep in his heart, there was still a trace of doubt and worry. He was afraid that his guess would become reality. Yang Ming sighed and forced these thoughts to the back of his mind. He entered the boarding gate and no longer looked at the situation on Lan Ling's side. Although he could see with his special ability, Yang Ming still wanted to see Lan Ling personally and ask her about this matter. Perhaps what I saw wasn't the truth. However, until it was time to board the plane, Yang Ming's mood was not very good. First-class passengers had priority to board the plane. After Yang Ming showed his boarding pass, he boarded the plane first. After boarding the plane, Yang Ming sat down in his seat. Because Batterton helped to book the entire flight tickets, he didn't consider that Lu Yezi would not return to Donghai with Yang Ming after getting off the plane in Beijing, so he still booked 2 first-class tickets. The seat next to Yang Ming was also booked online. Yang Ming closed his eyes. Because the first-class passengers had priority to board the plane, there was still some time before the economy-class passengers boarded the plane. Yang Ming simply didn't want to think about the previous matter. He let himself be in a state of dozing off to adjust his emotions. I can't go home with such a sad face, right? Not long after, he suddenly felt that a person sat down in the seat next to him. Yang Ming frowned. The seat next to him had been booked online. There shouldn't be anyone. How could someone sit down? He smelled a fragrance. It should be a girl. However, Yang Ming was not in a good mood now, so he didn't open his eyes to look. He was even too lazy to use his special ability to observe. Bah! Suddenly, he felt that he was kissed on the face. Yang Ming was stunned. It can't be, right? Who was so daring? Did I meet a love-struck female passenger? He opened his eyes in astonishment, but he saw a familiar smiling face. It turned out to be Huang Lele. Lele. Yang Ming didn't expect to see Huang Lele on this flight. His previous gloomy mood was much better at this moment, and his depression was swept away. After all, he wouldn't be lonely with Huang Lele accompanying him on this trip. Yang Ming, you are really on this flight. Huang Lele had an excited expression. What do you mean? You knew in advance. Yang Ming was a little surprised by Huang Lele's words. My elder brother has already talked to the airline company. The company's leaders are very good to me. They will also help me pay attention to whether there is your name on the flight to Donghai. If there is, they will transfer me, said Huang Lele. It turned out to be like this. Yang Ming nodded. With the identity of Huang Lele's elder brother, he was probably on equal footing with the airline's boss. The Huang family was not what it used to be. Not only was their business in North Africa very big, but their domestic investment companies were also thriving. I'm so happy to see you. Huang Lele looked very excited. Her face was flushed. Because she wore the flight attendant uniform, it made Yang Ming feel another kind of beauty. Me too. Yang Ming nodded. He rarely saw Huang Lele. He didn't expect to see Huang Lele before he went to Yunnan. This made Yang Ming very happy. Are you in Donghai tonight? I can take a vacation at any time. Huang Lele nodded shyly. It could be seen that Huang Lele's position in the company was very high. Chapter 1800. Your company is quite lenient with you. Yang Ming smiled. My brother has business dealings with them, Huang Lele said. Huang Lele said, right, the casinos in Las Vegas and Macau, as well as the entertainment cities in Singapore, are all under my name. This is my elder brother's idea. Although the family is running it, all the profits belong to me. Yang Ming nodded. It seemed that the Huang family's people were still quite observant. They did not become muddle-headed because of the current business. They also knew who exchanged for the Huang family's development today. My father also decided to put 30% of the Huang family's business under my name. Huang Lele said, "My brother currently only has 10%, oh." Yang Ming did not expect old man Huang to be so bold. He directly gave 30% of the shares under his name to Huang Lele. "What does your brother think?" "He naturally agrees." Huang Lele nodded. "My brother said that as long as I am happy, it will be fine, hee. Yang Ming smiled. "Just take it since I'm giving it to you." Huang Lele was still hesitating, but since Yang Ming said so, she naturally agreed. People began to board the plane one after another. A few people came up to the first-class cabin, but it was not full. In many cases, there were empty seats in the first-class cabin. Seeing a flight attendant chatting with a passenger, most of the first-class passengers were not surprised. This kind of thing was not very rare. It was also very common for some young masters to flirt with flight attendants on the plane. Everyone was used to it. Zhang Baogong was the male flight attendant of this flight. His family had some background. He also came to the airline company through connections. He was usually more undisciplined. It was common for him to flirt with flight attendants and slack off at work. However, the captain knew that he had connections in the head office, so he turned a blind eye to his behavior. Although Zhang Baogong flirted with flight attendants, some flight attendants were more snobbish. They valued Zhang Baogong's family background. For vanity, they would go and flirt with him. For those who were not easy to get, Zhang Baogong often gave up after chasing them. Anyway, was it just for fun? It's fine if you can't play it. There's no need to be so serious. However, after he saw Huang Lele, everything changed. He immediately took Huang Lele as a celestial being and began to pursue her fiercely. However, Huang Lele seemed to ignore him and ignored his pursuit. Initially, Zhang Baogong wondered if he should use force, but he heard that Huang Lele's family background was very strong. He also heard that her brother had a good relationship with the boss. Although his family had a strong background, it was not good to use force when facing a woman with the same background. That would only make things worse and even escalate the hatred between the two families. Therefore, Zhang Baogong still decided to use the method of coaxing and pestering to win Huang Lele's heart. He didn't believe that they would develop feelings after being on the same plane every day. Today, Zhang Baogong and Huang Lele were on the same plane again. In fact, Zhang Baogong had already bribed the people in the company to arrange for him to be on the same plane as Huang Lele. Wherever Huang Lele flew, he would follow. Of course, he wouldn't say it out loud. It was just a coincidence. During this time, he also secretly inquired about the Huang family's actual situation. After he inquired, Zhang Baogong was very surprised. The famous rich people in Singapore had industries in many countries around the world, especially the mines in North Africa, which were even more profitable. If such a rich young lady was pursued by him, it would be a treasure bowl. Not only would he benefit, but his family would also benefit. Thinking of this, Zhang Baogong was very excited. He pursued Huang Lele even harder. Zhang Baogong walked in the direction of the first class as usual. Huang Lele had very few things to do on the plane. There was almost nothing arranged. This was very similar to Zhang Baogong, the young master. However, this also gave Zhang Baogong a lot of opportunities to strike up a conversation because Huang Lele was not busy. Lele. Zhang Baogong entered the first class. Just as he called Huang Lele's name, he saw that Huang Lele was sitting next to a passenger in the first class. The two were chatting enthusiastically. Suddenly, his face collapsed and became very ugly. It was not unusual for the guests in the first class to chat with the flight attendants. Some rich young masters often did this kind of thing. Zhang Baogong was also not surprised. However, the person he was chatting with today was Huang Lele. Zhang Baogong was angry. He walked over with a sullen face. Lele, why are you chatting during work? What should we do if the captain sees it? Yang Ming raised his eyebrows and looked at Zhang Baogong with some surprise. He didn't know what Zhang Baogong was doing, but one thing was certain. This guy was definitely not reminding him kindly. Looking at his unhappy face, he must have ulterior motives. Huang Lele frowned slightly, but she ignored Zhang Baogong and continued to sit next to Yang Ming. Lele, didn't you hear it? Zhang Baogong frowned. He felt a little sour in his heart. Damn, I'm also a young master. Huang Lele doesn't give me a good face. At this moment, she is actually chatting enthusiastically with a passenger. What does this mean? This passenger, I'm sorry. Our company has a rule that flight attendants can't chat with passengers. Zhang Baogong thought that if he greeted this passenger, he wouldn't say anything. After all, he was the one who wanted to flirt with the flight attendant. It wouldn't look good on anyone if this matter was exposed. Who made the rule? You made the rule. Yang Ming was amused. Now, Yang Ming could see the meaning of this Zhang Baogong. It seemed that he was interested in Yang Ming. He was a little unhappy when he saw Yang Ming sitting with Huang Lele and chatting with her. Sir, this is the rule of our airline. You don't want her to have her bonus deducted because she is chatting with you, right? Although Zhang Baogong was badass, he did not dare to offend the passengers in the first class. If they complained, he would suffer even if he had connections. Bonus? I will compensate her for the amount deducted. You don't have to worry about it. Yang Ming waved his hand, indicating that Zhang Baogong could leave. Zhang Baogong was stunned. He did not expect Yang Ming to be so tough. Ordinary passengers would be fine with a few words, but this person actually said so. He was a little annoyed. You are on the plane. You don't abide by the rules and regulations of the plane. We have the right to ask you to get off the plane. Oh, wait until you have the right to say it. Yang Ming did not put Zhang Baogong in his eyes at all. This guy jumped around like a clown. You. Zhang Baogong choked. Indeed, he had no right to ask Yang Ming to get off the plane. If the captain did not agree to ask the passengers in the first class to get off the plane, who would dare to do so? Chapter 1801. Well, since you insist, then don't blame me for not reminding you. In a while, the flight police will ask you to get off the plane. I won't be responsible for delaying your journey. Zhang Baogong left a lukewarm reminder, then turned and walked away angrily. He was thinking about how to teach this guy a lesson. I really don't know what's wrong with Huang Lele. She actually chatted with a first-class passenger. Is there something special about this passenger? Of course, it was impossible to ask Yang Ming to get off the plane without a good reason under normal circumstances. It was basically impossible to ask the captain to ask Yang Ming to get off the plane. It seemed that he could only think of a way himself. It would be best to make Yang Ming do something extreme and then make a fuss. He would have a reason to ask the flight police to ask him to get off the plane. Thinking of this, Zhang Baogong made up his mind. When he delivered drinks and hot tea to the passengers, he was going to pretend to accidentally spill it all over Yang Ming. If Yang Ming was angry and wanted to hit him, then it would be just what he wanted. At that time, he would charge him with endangering the safety of other passengers on the plane and ask him to get off the plane. Although this reason was not very good, after all, it was a fact. Even the flight police would have to give him face, and the airline would not pursue his responsibility. If Yang Ming was a coward and did not dare to get angry, and only asked him to apologize to him, then it did not matter. He would apologize to him. At most, he would compensate him for the cost of his clothes. It was not a big deal. For a rich young master like Zhang Baogong, it was a very easy thing. He had plenty of money, so he did not care. Let Yang Ming get wet and hot for a while. Then, he would run to the bathroom and torture him. Of course, Yang Ming chose the coward approach, but Zhang Baogong was not ready to give up. He would pretend to accidentally spill the hot tea on Yang Ming again and again. When the hot tea was gone, there were still noodles and boxed meals. Even if he was a clay bodhisattva, he still had some temper. Let's see if he would get angry. Thinking of this, Zhang Baogong's face showed an evil smile. You want to fight with me? You are still too young. Before I, Zhang Baogong, started working, I was the local bully, the little bully in the school, and the boss of the school. You want to steal my woman? See if I don't play you to death. So, Zhang Baogong pretended as if nothing had happened and walked to the economy class. This Zhang Baogong, is he pursuing you? When Zhang Baogong left, Yang Ming, Huang Lele. Well, he is far worse than you. Huang Lele always liked to tell the truth. What if he is better than me? Huang Lele, Huang Lele, Huang Lele, Huang, on. Impossible. Huang Lele shook her head. In my opinion, no one is better than you. Hee. Yang Ming liked to chat with Huang Lele because she could always give him some joy inadvertently. Just like her name, she was a little happy fruit. Yang Ming swept away his previous depression. Since you don't like him, tell your brother to transfer him away from you. There seems to be some connections in his family, right? Huang Lele thought about it. I remember he bragged in front of me before, but I don't remember. It seems that his family is also very powerful, and he has relatives in the airline company. Oh, it turns out that he is also a young master with a background. No wonder he is so rude. Yang Ming nodded. There are two solutions. One is that I find someone to transfer him away. The second is that you resign. There is nothing to do in this job. There is no need. He also knows my family background. He won't dare to go overboard. Huang Lele shook her head. I will ignore him, but I still like my current job. It is very relaxing. Everyone is good to me. In fact, the main thing is that there is something to do, and it can also pass the time. Otherwise, when I have nothing to do, I will miss you all day. You can't be with me every day. Yang Ming sighed. Huang Lele's thoughts made Yang Ming feel very tangled. However, Huang Lele is not wrong. I can't accompany her every day. Even if she moves in with Qin Mengyan and the others, I still have things to do every day. It wasn't that Yang Ming didn't have the idea of retiring and living in seclusion. In fact, Yang Ming had begun to prepare for his future life starting from X Island in North Africa. It was just that things here were not settled. Even if Yang Ming went to X Island, he would not be at peace. He didn't know who he had offended. Now, not only was the behind-the-scenes boss and Elder Yu's matter not resolved, but Central had also inexplicably appeared. Although the first time he offended him was because of the Butterfly family, it was done very secretly. Almost no one knew that he was the one who killed Jetson. Only the Butterfly family and the Douglas family knew, but they didn't dare to say it casually. But this time, it was impossible for news of him killing Kevin to not leak out at all. I don't know if the people from Central will target me. This life is simply too stressful. There are enemies every day, and there are problems everywhere. The flight attendants began to distribute drinks and hot tea. In the first-class cabin, the flight attendant in charge of the distribution was actually Zhang Baogong. At this time, Zhang Baogong had a smile on his face. He had changed from his previous depressed and bum face. He pushed a cart full of drinks and began to serve the first-class guests. "Sir, would you like something to drink? There is cola, Sprite, orange juice, mineral water, hot coffee, hot tea." Zhang Baogong asked a passenger not far from Yang Ming. The passenger asked for a bottle of mineral water, and then the passengers behind him ordered some of the things they needed one after another. The cart arrived behind Yang Ming. "Madam, what do you want?" Zhang Baogong asked a first-class passenger behind Yang Ming. "Coffee," said the female passenger behind Yang Ming. "Okay, please wait a moment." Zhang Baogong responded with a smile, but he was overjoyed in his heart. God is really helping me. Waha. He was thinking about how to pour the hot coffee on Yang Ming. As a result, the passenger behind him cooperated and ordered a cup of hot coffee. Zhang Baogong poured a cup of hot coffee and pretended to hand it to the female passenger. However, when the cup was delivered to the female passenger's hand, he suddenly pushed it forward. It was as if the plane shook, and he couldn't stand still. The cup was going to hit Yang Ming's head. At this time, Yang Ming seemed to have eyes on the back of his head. He touched his hair and swung his hand. The cup in Zhang Baogong's hand flew out and hit Zhang Baogong's face directly. Chapter 1802. Ouch! Zhang Baogong screamed. A cup of hot coffee was poured on Zhang Baogong's face. He jumped up from the ground and screamed, "It's hot, it's hot. Fuck your mother. Are you trying to murder me?" Zhang Baogong was born as a young master. When had he ever suffered such grievances? His face was splashed with hot coffee. His face was so hot that it was about to fall off. Zhang Baogong covered his face and shouted loudly. He danced and stared at Yang Ming with a ferocious face. "You did it on purpose. You definitely did it on purpose. I will fucking kill you." Zhang Baogong didn't care anymore. He didn't care if he was scolded by the company's leaders afterward. He picked up the hot coffee pot and poured it on Yang Ming. Yang Ming's face flashed a trace of sarcasm. His hand shook slightly, and a flying needle entered Zhang Baogong's wrist. Zhang Baogong didn't realize what was going on. He wanted to pour the pot of hot tea on Yang Ming's head, but he didn't expect that his hands wouldn't listen to him. Before Zhang Baogong could pick up the coffee pot, his hands were already weak. As a result, the coffee pot rolled down and spilled all over Zhang Baogong's body. From his crotch to his feet, he was completely drenched by the hot coffee. Zhang Baogong screamed again. He jumped on the ground while covering his crotch. "Fuck, fuck, fuck, I don't want to live anymore. I can't live anymore. Ouch, it hurts, it hurts." The first-class cabin was originally very quiet. After Zhang Baogong made such a scene, the sleeping passengers woke up one after another. They looked up and saw Zhang Baogong jumping on the ground like a clown. They suddenly showed a look of disdain. They all talked about how the quality of this flight attendant was so low. He actually covered his crotch and did such a vulgar action on the plane. "Mom, what is that uncle doing? Why is he touching his little brother?" A child asked his mother strangely. "Oh, baby, he is learning to dance from Michael." The mother looked at Zhang Baogong with disdain and explained to her son. Of course, in the first-class cabin, there were some bolder girls who chuckled at this moment. Zhang Baogong's action was too wretched, as if he was doing some kind of lewd thing. "Police, come quickly. Someone attacked me." Zhang Baogong shouted loudly. He must teach Yang Ming a lesson. At this time, the flight police had already heard the commotion and rushed over. They also heard the commotion in the first-class cabin. When they saw Zhang Baogong shouting, they asked curiously, "What's wrong with you? Arrest him for me." Zhang Baogong pointed and said pointed, this kid threatened to endanger the safety of other people on the plane in a dangerous way. He drenched me with coffee. Look, he burned me to death. After Zhang Baogong finished speaking, he pointed to his face. Sir, please come with us. Although they didn't know what was going on, when these police officers saw how confident Zhang Baogong was, they naturally had to take Yang Ming away for investigation first. Little Wang, this is my friend. Huang Lele spoke at this time and said to the police, Zhang Baogong put the coffee on himself and falsely accused my friend. The police officer, Little Wang, did not expect that the person Zhang Baogong was talking about was actually Huang Lele's friend. At this time, he noticed that the person sitting next to the person was actually Huang Lele. He didn't notice it before. But this time, things were a bit difficult. Little Wang also knew that Zhang Baogong was pursuing Huang Lele. At this time, seeing Huang Lele sitting with another man, it was difficult to guarantee that Zhang Baogong didn't want to take the opportunity to retaliate against the man and deliberately said this. Little Wang really didn't want to participate in this kind of thing, but since he was here, he couldn't just ignore it. This was a security problem on the plane. If he didn't care, it would be difficult to explain to the captain. Lele, I am also investigating. It will be fine once I figure it out. Little Wang assured Huang Lele. No need. There are so many people in this first-class cabin. You can ask them. Did Yang Ming touch Zhang Baogong just now? How did he get the hot coffee? Said Huang Lele. Little Wang listened. Yes, there are so many witnesses. Can't I just ask? This way, he would believe the words of a third-party witness. No matter what the result was, he wouldn't offend Zhang Baogong and Huang Lele. It would be easier to explain to the captain. Thinking of this, Little Wang quickly asked a woman not far away, Madam, did you see what happened just now? This woman was the mother of the child just now. She hated Zhang Baogong for leading her child astray. How could she be angry? I saw it, said the woman. The flight attendant just poured coffee for the woman behind the gentleman. As a result, the plane shook, and he accidentally spilled coffee on his face. Then, he blamed it on the gentleman in front of him. He became angry. Not only did he scold, but he also covered his crotch and did some obscene actions in public on the plane. Little Wang broke into a sweat. It can't be, right? Zhang Baogong is acting like a hooligan in public. He glanced at Zhang Baogong and saw that his face was red. He pointed at the woman and shouted, You are talking nonsense. I obviously wanted to pour coffee on him, but he suddenly raised his hand and blocked the coffee cup. Then, he slammed it on my face. How can you say that I was careless? Oh. The passengers in the plane were slightly stunned after listening to Zhang Baogong's words. Then, they all laughed. Ha 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 ha, did you hear it? Yang Ming looked at Little Wang. This guy admitted it himself. He wanted to pour coffee on me. In the end, he reaped what he sowed. Sorry, sir. I'm sorry. Little Wang heard the testimony of the passengers. Now that Zhang Baogong admitted it himself, there was no need to investigate further. This Zhang Baogong really knows how to harm others. If I invited Yang Ming over for no reason, and I didn't know the truth, I would be responsible for sending Yang Ming off the plane at the airport. No, I was wrong. I didn't pour coffee on him. The plane shook, and I accidentally lost my balance. I didn't mean to pour coffee on him. Zhang Baogong knew that he said something wrong, so he quickly explained. Ha 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 ha. The passengers on the plane laughed again. You still lost your balance. Zhang Baogong's face was red. Yes, if I explain it like this, isn't it the same as the previous woman's testimony? I just said that she was spouting nonsense. Sir, I'm sorry. We will deal with this matter seriously. Little Wang ignored Zhang Baogong and carefully apologized to Yang Ming. Oh, you will deal with it. Yang Ming smiled faintly. I'm afraid that won't work. This matter isn't over yet. Chapter 1803. Ah. Little Wang was stunned. He didn't know what Yang Ming meant. Sir, do you have any other requests? Not really. Yang Ming said, do you have a satellite phone on the plane? Yes, sir. Little Wang nodded. He didn't know what Yang Ming was going to do and why he suddenly asked about the satellite phone. Well, you take me to make a call. We'll talk on the way. Yang Ming said as he unfastened his seatbelt and stood up. Okay. Little Wang glanced at Zhang Baogong, indicating that he should leave quickly. Then, he took Yang Ming to make the satellite phone call. Zhang Baogong looked at Yang Ming bitterly and muttered, Damn, you're lucky, kid. But you wait. I won't give up so easily. When you arrive in Donghai, I won't let you leave the airport. As a rich second generation, Zhang Baogong also had a lot of friends in Donghai. He thought that in a while, he would gather some people to block Yang Ming at the entrance of Donghai Airport and make him pay the price for what happened just now. Really? Yang Ming smiled faintly after listening. There was some mockery and disdain on his face. Then let's see who won't be able to leave the airport. Hey! Zhang Baogong heard Yang Ming's words and became more enthusiastic. Well, let's see. I'm not afraid to tell you that I have people at the airport. My people can come in, but your people can't. My uncle is the vice president of Donghai Airport. Ha ha ha, how about it? Are you scared? Oh, I hope your uncle won't be implicated by you. Yang Ming nodded to him and followed Little Wang to make the call. Pretend, I'll let you pretend. You'll get it later. Zhang Baogong saw that Yang Ming was so calm, and he rolled his eyes in anger. He thought that after he finished the call, he would contact his uncle. Sir, please don't lower yourself to Zhang Baogong's level. This kid is just a little arrogant because he has some connections in his family. Little Wang explained to Yang Ming in embarrassment. He didn't expect Zhang Baogong to continue threatening Yang Ming instead of apologizing. Really? Yang Ming snorted coldly, took out an ID and handed it to Xiao Wang. This is my ID. I just returned from a mission. I now suspect that your flight attendant is a spy from a foreign country and is trying to harm me. So, you need to control him first. I'll make a call, and our people will take him away at the airport. Little Wang took Yang Ming's ID and his expression changed. This was a military ID. Although Little Wang was not familiar with the details of the military, since Yang Ming said that he had just completed a mission, it must be a special department. As a result, Zhang Baogong had really kicked an iron plate today. He had done something that was completely out of his mind. Okay, I will cooperate, but we can only control him until he gets off the plane. After he gets off the plane, we can't do anything. Little Wang still knew how to distinguish the severity of the matter. Although he didn't think that Zhang Baogong was a spy, the fact that he attacked Yang Ming was indeed true. Although Yang Ming's suspicion had elements of revenge, it wasn't excessive. Everything was Zhang Baogong's own fault. It had nothing to do with others. Oh, that's enough. Yang Ming nodded and began to dial the phone. He told Xia Bingbao what happened on the plane and asked him to send someone to take Zhang Baogong away. Yang Ming did not exaggerate, but he told the truth and made a brief explanation of everything that happened here. In fact, Yang Ming didn't want to convict Zhang Baogong or anything. He just wanted to teach him a lesson. He wanted to lock him up for a few days to change his arrogant nature so that he would no longer harass Huang Lele. Xia Bingbao also knew this. He also heard that Yang Ming didn't really want to do anything to Zhang Baogong. He just wanted him to investigate whether there was a problem with Zhang Baogong. In other words, Yang Ming just wanted to teach Zhang Baogong a lesson. Little Wang sighed secretly. This Zhang Baogong went to gather some people from the underworld. He also vowed that Yang Ming's people couldn't enter the airport. He is a military person. Isn't it easy to enter the airport? This Zhang Baogong can only pray for his own good luck. Yang Ming is also a magnanimous person who wants you to learn a lesson. If you really get those people from the underworld to go against Yang Ming, then the result can be imagined. When Yang Ming returned to his seat, Zhang Baogong was no longer there. However, Yang Ming didn't have the intention to look for him. The plane was still in the sky. He wasn't afraid that Zhang Baogong would run away. Yang Ming, is there anything wrong? Asked Huang Lele. No, but Zhang Baogong will have something to do in a while. Yang Ming smiled. I hope this kid will learn a lesson this time and be quiet in the future. Huang Lele sighed, why don't I resign? You don't have to resign. If you like this job, then keep doing it. I think after this incident, Zhang Baogong won't harass you anymore, said Yang Ming. The plane slowly landed at Donghai International Airport. Yang Ming and Huang Lele sat together. No one came to disturb them along the way. However, on the way, a co-pilot came to explain Zhang Baogong's matter to Yang Ming. He hoped that Yang Ming would handle it in a low-key manner and not involve the matter on this flight. However, seeing that Huang Lele and Yang Ming were talking and laughing, the co-pilot was relieved. Yang Ming was only targeting Zhang Baogong personally and would not pursue the responsibility of the entire maintenance team. In the evening, Yang Ming did not return directly to Songjiang. Instead, he stayed with Huang Lele in Donghai. Donghai also had the Douglas Vast Hotel, but it had now become Yang Ming's property. It was changed to the Songjiang International Hotel. The waiter here did not know Yang Ming, but Yang Ming came out with Huang Lele in a low-key manner. He casually booked a double room and stayed with Huang Lele. Early the next morning, Huang Lele returned to the airport, and Yang Ming returned to Songjiang. As for Zhang Baogong, it was estimated that he would be taken away for investigation for a few days. After all, Yang Ming was not the kind of person to avenge private grudges. Yang Ming returned to Songjiang in a low-key manner. Lan Ling's matter was temporarily put behind him. In any case, he would go to Yunnan after a while to settle the matter of Yunnan's elder Yu. By then, he should be able to see Lan Ling. Mengyan, I'm back in Songjiang. Yang Ming called Chen Mengyan. Chen Mengyan was in class, but when she saw Yang Ming's phone call, she picked it up. Yang Ming, where are you now? I'm on my way home, said Yang Ming. And, why don't you come to school? Let's eat together at noon. Chen Mengyan hesitated and asked. Okay, then I'll pick you up at school, said Yang Ming. Chapter 1804. Yang Ming hung up Chen Mengyan's phone call and called Xiaoqing. He wanted to tell her that he was safe. Sister Xiaoqing, where are you? Asked Yang Ming. At school. Where else can I be? When Xiaoqing heard Yang Ming's voice, she couldn't hide the surprise in her heart. You're back. And I'm back, but I have an appointment with Chen Mengyan for lunch. I'll see you in the afternoon. Yang Ming said apologetically. Don't look at me all the time. Godfather asked me yesterday why I haven't seen you for so long. Is it because you're rich now, so you don't want him as your godfather anymore? Xiaoqing said half-jokingly. She naturally knew that Yang Ming wasn't that kind of person. Ah. Yang Ming was stunned and remembered that he hadn't been to Godfather Lu Weishan's house for a while. After the Chinese New Year, he was really busy. He rarely went back to his own house, so he neglected the feelings of godfather and godmother. Thinking of this, Yang Ming was a bit ashamed. No matter how busy he was, he couldn't not have time to take a look. Even if he had to squeeze out time, he had to visit Godfather. Sister Xiaoqing, I was really too busy a while ago. Yang Ming said embarrassedly. Hee, of course, I know you're busy. In fact, Godfather also knows that you haven't been to school for so long. It has already reached his ears. He just casually nagged. In fact, he didn't mean to blame you. Xiaoqing explained, we all understand you. Let's do this. I'll call Godfather and see if he has time at noon. Then, I'll invite him to lunch with Meng Yan. Yang Ming thought about it and said. Alright, then I won't participate. You guys go. Hearing that Chen Mengyan was going, Xiaoqing naturally wouldn't go. Alright. Yang Ming didn't force it. After all, Xiaoqing was there. Although she didn't say anything on the surface, it was inevitable that she would feel a little awkward. Lu Weishan was now the vice principal in charge of teaching in the school. His workload had also increased a lot compared to before. When Yang Ming called him, he was in the middle of researching about the faculty assessment this semester. However, when he saw Yang Ming's number, he gladly put down the work in his hands and picked up the phone. Yang Ming. You're back. Lu Weishan asked with a smile. It seemed that he already knew from Xiaoqing that Yang Ming went abroad. Well, I just came back, Yang Ming said, Godfather, I haven't been to your house for so long. It's nothing. Did Xiaoqing say something to you? Lu Weishan laughed, I know you're busy. It's nothing. You don't have to think too much. Godfather, actually, I'm calling to ask if you have time at noon. Chen Mengyan and I will treat you to a meal. Yang Ming asked with some embarrassment. At noon, there was a meal, but it doesn't matter. I will cancel it. Just tell me where it is, and I will go. Lu Weishan was very happy when he heard that Yang Ming wanted to treat him to a meal. In fact, at Lu Weishan's age, he didn't care much about power and status. Especially for someone like him who had a high reputation in the country's sculpting academic circle, he didn't care about these things. It was important to enjoy the happiness of family and friends. Therefore, he didn't even think about it before canceling the meal to have a meal with Yang Ming. That's fine. Then I will book a place and call you again, said Yang Ming. It seemed that the original plan had to be changed. Yang Ming originally planned to treat Chen Mengyan and the others to a small restaurant near the school. However, with Lu Weishan, he had to go to a more high-end place. After all, it was a family feast with the elders. It wasn't a good idea to eat too low-class. Yang Ming called Guo Jianchao and asked him to book a private room for him at the new Songjiang International Hotel, which was the former Douglas Vast Hotel. He told Guo Jianchao that he would be there for a meal later. Naturally, Guo Jianchao hurriedly took care of this matter. After Chen Mengyan hung up the phone, she didn't have the mood to listen to the lecture. She began to text Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jiejie, telling them that Yang Ming was back and that they would have lunch together. Chen Mengyan, you tell us. In this case, what is the main reason for inflation? The professor called Chen Mengyan's name. Chen Mengyan just answered the phone and texted. How could she hear what the professor was talking about? Sit down. Listen carefully in class next time. As a class cadre, don't take the lead and skip class, said the professor without mercy. Oh, okay. Chen Mengyan sat down with a red face. Recently, the professor had been finding trouble with her more and more often. Chen Mengyan also knew what was going on. A while ago, the professor found her and asked her personal questions. He asked if she had a boyfriend. Chen Mengyan asked carefully and found out that the professor wanted to introduce his grandson to her as a boyfriend. Chen Mengyan of course refused, but the professor seemed to be embarrassed. He had some opinions about Chen Mengyan. In his opinion, Chen Mengyan's so-called boyfriend was an excuse. How could a first-year girl have a boyfriend so quickly? As for the rumors in school, of course, he didn't pay attention to them, nor did he hear about them. Therefore, Professor Wang thought that Chen Mengyan didn't give him face. At home, she couldn't stand his grandson's coaxing and pestering. He was even more upset. Therefore, he often made things difficult for Chen Mengyan. He wanted her to know that if she didn't agree to his requests, it would be difficult for her to do anything in school. In fact, to be honest, Professor Wang used to be a relatively upright person. He had never taken advantage of students for their papers or exams. He was considered honest. But the more such a person was, the more stubborn he was. He thought that since he had worked hard for the school all his life, it wasn't too much to ask for some benefits for his grandson. Moreover, this wasn't something that went against his principles. It was just introducing a girlfriend. His grandson was so outstanding. He was more than enough to match Chen Mengyan. But he didn't expect that Chen Mengyan would reject him. This made Professor Wang lose face. At the same time, he also felt that Chen Mengyan was insensible. He came from a scholarly family. He was a university professor. His son was the boss of a company. Although his grandson wasn't very good in his studies, he still went to university with his help. Although it wasn't Songjiang Industry University, it was a joint school of the university. But this wasn't important. His grandson was just a gangster in university. After graduation, he would work in his son's company and take over the family business. With such a strong family background, Chen Mengyan actually didn't give him face. No one would believe it if this was spread out. If his grandson didn't come to attend his class and took a fancy to Chen Mengyan, Professor Wang would be too lazy to be a matchmaker. There were so many people who wanted to marry him. They could even line up. Why would Chen Mengyan be missing? Therefore, during these few classes, Professor Wang often found trouble with Chen Mengyan. He intended to teach her a lesson. Chapter 1805. During the break, Professor Wang looked at his phone and realized that there was a missed call. He had set it to vibrate, so he didn't hear it. He checked and realized that it was from his grandson, Wang Shigang. Professor Wang hurriedly returned the call. He was extremely fond of this grandson of his. He was the only successor of the Wang family. Just now, you called Grandpa. What's the matter? Professor Wang asked. Grandpa, how's the matter that I told you about? Did you look for Chen Mengyan? Did she agree? Wang Shigang had been thinking about Chen Mengyan ever since he attended one of his grandpa's classes. Therefore, he wanted to matchmake with his grandpa. How could there be a decent girl in his crappy university? She was either a hoodlum or extremely ugly. When Wang Shigang saw Chen Mengyan, he was shocked. I'm working on it. Don't worry. Just now, don't worry. Grandpa will definitely help you find a wife. Professor Wang didn't want to disappoint his grandson, so he didn't tell his grandson that Chen Mengyan had rejected him. Oh, okay. Hurry up. I'm so anxious. Wang Shigang urged anxiously. How about this? I'll ask her out for lunch and talk to her in detail. Professor Wang originally wanted to find trouble with Chen Mengyan for a few more days so that she would take the initiative to give in to him. However, since his grandson was urging him, he couldn't wait any longer. He would ask her out for lunch and then carefully analyze the pros and cons for her. Okay, Grandpa. I'll wait for your good news. Wang Shigong was overjoyed and quickly said. After hanging up the call with his grandson, Professor Wang thought for a while and said to Chen Mengyan, come here for a moment. Oh. Okay. It was break time. Chen Mengyan didn't know why Professor Wang was looking for her, but she felt that it definitely wasn't something good. Professor Wang, what's the matter? Chen Mengyan walked up to Professor Wang and asked. Chen Mengyan, don't leave after class. Wait for me. I'll treat you to something to eat. I have something to tell you. Professor Wang was afraid that Chen Mengyan would reject him, so he used a commanding tone. He wanted Chen Mengyan to accept his offer. Ah. Professor Wang. At noon, Chen Mengyan had already made plans to have lunch with Yang Ming. Naturally, she couldn't have lunch with Professor Wang. Also, Professor Wang's so-called looking for me definitely wasn't anything good. It probably had something to do with his grandson. However, Professor Wang didn't wait for Chen Mengyan to finish speaking. He waved his hand and said, okay, you can go back first. It's time for class. After that, he didn't wait for Chen Mengyan to reply. He walked up to the podium and said to the students below, let's continue with the class. Chen Mengyan was a little helpless. She shook her head and could only go back to her seat. However, after she went back, she sent a message to Yang Ming. Yang Ming, our Professor Wang wants to treat me to lunch. What should I do? Yang Ming took the car and was driving to Songjiang Industry University. His phone rang. He took it out and looked at it. He couldn't help but be stunned. Chen Mengyan's professor wants to treat Chen Mengyan to lunch. It can't be. It can't be that some perverted professor wants to covet a female student, right? Yang Ming immediately replied with a message, why does he want to treat you to lunch? Why is he looking for you? Chen Mengyan replied quickly, he wants to introduce his grandson to me as my boyfriend. I didn't agree, so he always makes things difficult for me in class. I guess he wants to treat me to lunch today to talk about this. Treat you to lunch. Well, then you tell him that you have made an appointment to eat with someone else. If he is willing to come, he can come together. Yang Ming replied. Then, okay. Chen Mengyan had to think about how to open her mouth in a while. Yang Ming parked the car in front of the school leader's office building. Then, he called his godfather and told him that he had arrived. When he was done with his work, he could come down. Then, he sent a short message to Chen Mengyan, telling her the location of the lunch. He asked her to contact him after class or take her professor directly to the hotel. After Chen Mengyan's class, she was naturally called by Professor Wang again. Professor Wang was afraid that Chen Mengyan would slip away first, so he had been watching her. He had promised his grandson, so he wanted to settle this matter today. Chen Mengyan, let's have lunch together. I have something to tell you. Professor Wang walked to Chen Mengyan's side and stared at her. Professor Wang, I have already made an appointment to eat with a friend today. Chen Mengyan had already thought about how to say it. What friend? Can't you cancel the appointment? Professor Wang frowned and subconsciously took Chen Mengyan's words as perfunctory. Otherwise, how could it be such a coincidence that she had something to do when he invited her to lunch? I have already booked a restaurant and a private room. It's not good to cancel it. Chen Mengyan said awkwardly, Professor Wang, why don't you go with me? Oh, I'll go with you. Professor Wang hesitated and said, although it's not very good, I do have something to tell you. Then, let's go together. From Professor Wang's point of view, this was Chen Mengyan's excuse to reject him. If it were a normal person, after hearing Chen Mingyan's invitation, they would be too embarrassed to say that they wanted to go with her. After all, it was someone else's meal. Why would they want to join in the fun? Professor Wang naturally understood this logic. However, from his point of view, Chen Mingyan did not have a meal at all. It was just an excuse. That was why he agreed to go with Chen Mingyan. This way, he could expose her words and take the opportunity to knock some sense into her. Okay. Then let's go together. Chen Mingyan nodded. Anyway, Yang Ming asked her to invite someone to eat together. Chen Mingyan did as she was told. If it was in the past, Chen Mingyan would definitely not agree. This was because the previous Yang Ming usually used his fists and feet to solve problems like this. She did not want Yang Ming to beat up Professor Wang because of this matter. Although she knew that Yang Ming had a lot of connections now, she did not want this kind of thing to happen. She herself did not like violence. However, now that Yang Ming was much more stable, Chen Mingyan was relieved. This was because she believed that Yang Ming would not use simple and violent methods to solve problems. Let's go. Who's afraid of who? Professor Wang was sure that Chen Mingyan was bluffing, so he did not show any weakness. He followed Chen Mingyan downstairs. He wanted to see where Chen Mingyan's so-called friend was. Chen Mingyan, where is your friend? Is he waiting for you downstairs? Chapter 1806. Oh. No, we're meeting at the hotel, Chen Mingyan shook her head and said. After hearing Chen Mingyan's words, Professor Wang was even more sure that Chen Mingyan was lying. Why would they meet at the hotel? What kind of friend was this? From Professor Wang's point of view, Chen Mingyan was a student, so the person who treated her to a meal was definitely a student as well. How could students go to a meal alone? Wasn't this bullshit? Oh, then what does your friend do? On the surface, Professor Wang didn't expose her. He nodded and asked. My friend is also a student in our school, computer science, Chen Mingyan said. Also from our school. Professor Wang curled his lips. The guess in his heart became a reality. The person who treated them to a meal was also from the school. This made it even more impossible. They were from the same school, so why didn't they go together? Who was she kidding? Yeah. Chen Mingyan chatted casually with Professor Wang. She was a little nervous. She didn't know how Yang Ming would deal with this situation. Mingyan, let's go in my car later. We'll go together. Professor Wang was sure that Chen Mingyan was lying, so he decided to follow her to the hotel. He wanted to see how Chen Mingyan would deal with this situation. It's okay. Chen Mingyan shook her head. Professor Wang watched as Chen Mingyan walked towards the parking lot with him. Although Chen Mingyan said it was okay, Professor Wang thought that Chen Mingyan was just being polite, so he didn't think much of it. Otherwise, if they didn't take the car, why would they walk towards the parking lot? When they arrived at the parking lot, Professor Wang took out his car keys and opened the door of a Mazda 6. He was going to greet Chen Mingyan. Professor Wang wanted Chen Mingyan to see that his family's conditions were good. He even had a car. She wouldn't lose out if she married him. However, when Professor Wang turned around, he was surprised to see that Chen Mingyan had also taken out the remote control and opened the door of an Audi S5. This made Professor Wang's eyes widen. The Audi S5 was much more expensive than his Mazda 6. Professor Wang rubbed his eyes when he saw Chen Mingyan sitting in the driver's seat. He had to reevaluate Chen Mingyan. At first, Professor Wang thought that Chen Mingyan came from an ordinary family and didn't have much money. However, when he saw her Audi S5, he changed his mind. If his family didn't have any money, how could he afford this car? In this way, If Chen Mengyan married his grandson and became his granddaughter-in-law, she wouldn't be climbing up the social ladder. But now, it seemed that his strategy was wrong. Chen Mingyan's family would definitely not agree to it so easily. Professor Wang sighed. It was all his fault for being so busy in the laboratory every day. He didn't have time to look at the student's file. If he had known about Chen Mingyan's family background earlier, he would have changed his strategy and used a gentler method. Professor Wang was usually the kind of person who pretended to be aloof. In school, he also had an attitude of not paying attention to the outside world. But now, it seemed that this kind of attitude wasn't good. Professor Wang started the car and followed Chen Mingyan's Audi S5. Chen Mengyan drove the car to the parking lot of the new Songjiang International Hotel. Professor Wang didn't expect that the place that Chen Mengyan mentioned to eat would be here. This was the most high-end hotel in the city. A meal would cost at least a few thousand yuan. Could it be that Chen Mengyan really had an appointment with a friend? Professor Wang frowned, but he didn't quite believe it. Chen Mengyan's words were full of loopholes, so he could only pray that Chen Mengyan was lying. Now that he had come to this step, there was no way back. No matter what, Professor Wang could only brace himself and go forward. Chen Mengyan, is your friend here? Where is he? He should be here. I'll ask at the reception desk. Chen Mengyan locked the car and entered the hotel lobby. Professor Wang was more convinced that Chen Mengyan was lying to him this time. Ask at the hotel lobby. How could the hotel lobby have such a good memory to remember whether your friend is here or not? It's hard to say whether you know him or not. Why ask? In Professor Wang's opinion, Chen Mengyan must have gone to book a room. After she told him the room number, she was waiting for him to be embarrassed and back out. Professor Wang had already exposed Chen Mengyan's little plot in his heart. How could he let her do as she wished? So, he didn't speak. He smiled as he watched Chen Mengyan go to the bar, and he stood in the hotel lobby with a calm look. Although the cost here was very high, for Professor Wang, it was still affordable. Not to mention that his son was still running a company, his salary was also very high. Especially during this period, the old dean in the department was about to retire. He was competing with another associate dean for the dean's position. In his opinion, the associate dean's qualifications weren't as good as his. As long as he moved around and looked for connections, he could be promoted. Professor Wang wondered if he should ask the dean of the computer science department, Xiao Qing, one night to buy something to visit her godfather, Lu Weishan. Professor Wang still didn't dare to go directly to Lu Weishan. However, there was Xiao Qing who was basically the same level as him, and she was also a junior. He thought that Xiao Qing should help him. Lu Weishan was the vice president in charge of teaching in the school. He had a lot of say in the appointment and assessment of the dean. The school's principal usually didn't intervene in these things, so whether his matter could succeed or not depended on Lu Weishan. In fact, Professor Wang seemed to be very noble on the surface, but in fact, he was also obsessed with power. Otherwise, he wouldn't want to compete for these. If he didn't have a problem with his nature, he wouldn't have used the professor's authority to make things difficult for Chen Mengyan and make her date his grandson. However, Professor Wang thought that he was going to be the dean of the economics department soon. This was also a very high position outside. He thought that if Chen Mengyan's family knew about it, they wouldn't object to this matter, right? Professor Wang was proudly thinking that it was fine. Chen Mengyan walked quickly to the service desk. Hello, madam. What's the matter? Seeing Chen Mengyan coming, a waiter at the service desk quickly asked. It's like this. Yang Ming booked a private room here, right? Has he arrived? Asked Chen Mengyan. Yang Ming. The waiter was slightly stunned. He just wanted to ask Chen Mengyan what the private room number was, but he suddenly remembered. Wasn't this Yang Ming the person that the boss, Guo Jianchao, personally asked? Moreover, when he just came, Guo Jianchao specially greeted him at the door. He let the waiter remember that in the future, Yang Ming was a VIP of the hotel. He could use the VIP private room at any time. Chapter 1807. Not only that, Guo Jianchao also secretly greeted the lobby manager and told him that the next time Yang Ming came, he must call him to inform him. It could be imagined how important Yang Ming's identity was. Even Guo Jianchao was so careful. It must not be simple. Therefore, these waiters also secretly remembered this name. When they saw Yang Ming again, they could inform the foreman immediately. And this girl came to find Yang Ming, so it was definitely not simple. The waiter's attitude immediately became better. Their service attitude was already good, but now they were more respectful. Madam, Mr. Yang Ming has arrived. President Guo personally received him. May I ask who you are? The waiters asked carefully. I am his girlfriend. Although Chen Mengyan and Yang Ming were like an old married couple, they were still a bit shy in front of outsiders. Ah. The waiters were shocked and quickly said, Madam, please wait. I will make a call right away. Okay. Chen Mengyan nodded, but she had some doubts in her heart. Why is this waiter so surprised? The waiters dialed the phone number of the foreman and quickly reported the matter here to the lobby manager. After the lobby manager listened, he didn't dare to neglect. He quickly called Guo Jianchao and reported the matter to Guo Jianchao. It was originally a very small matter, but it took so many twists and turns. Guo Jianchao listened to the lobby manager's solemn report, and he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Miss Chen is Mr. Yang's girlfriend. The next time you come, just let her go upstairs directly. There is no need to report. So, the lobby manager passed the instructions to the waiters at the front desk. The waiters quickly told Chen Mengyan the room number and wanted to take Chen Mengyan upstairs, but they were rejected by Chen Mengyan. What can't I go upstairs? Why do I need the waiters to follow me? This kind of treatment made Chen Mengyan somewhat unaccustomed. Chen Mengyan turned and walked to the professor. Professor Wang, I have asked for the room. Let's go up. Have you finished asking? Professor Wang sneered in his heart. Did you just book a room? You even asked. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. Do you think I can't guess what you're thinking? You want me to back off? Not so easy. Although Professor Wang thought so, his face did not change at all. He smiled amiably and said, Okay, let's go up. The two people entered the elevator together. Chen Mengyan pressed the button for the 16th floor. The 16th floor was a VIP box. In Songjiang, only a few bigwigs could enter the 16th floor. This was also a symbol of identity. However, Professor Wang had never been here before, so he didn't know about this. Therefore, he didn't care. If Professor Wang's son was here, he would be very surprised. In the elevator, Chen Mengyan didn't say much. She still didn't know Yang Ming's arrangement, so she couldn't say anything. When Professor Wang saw that Chen Mengyan didn't say anything, he thought that she was guilty. He thought to himself, when we reach the box, what will you do if there's no one inside? The elevator stopped at the 16th floor. The door opened with a ding sound. Chen Mengyan and Professor Wang came out of the elevator. Professor Wang pretended to say, Chen Mengyan, which box is your friend in? Why didn't you come out to welcome us? This place is so big. What if we can't find him? We can find him. Chen Mengyan smiled. He's in front, room 1601. 1601 was one of the best rooms on the 16th floor. Because it was close to the side, there were windows on both sides. The light was very good. Really? But did you tell him that I'm coming too? Professor Wang asked. I did. Chen Mengyan nodded. Said. Professor Wang snorted in his heart. If you said so, why didn't you come out to welcome me? Since the other party was also a student of Songjiang Industry University, then as the deputy director of the economics department, he was also a high-ranking official. When a student sees a deputy director, he should come out to welcome him. Professor Wang was a little annoyed. If someone really treated him, then he didn't give him any face. If no one treated him, then he wanted to see how Chen Mengyan would explain. Then why didn't you come out to welcome me? I'm a professor of the university. Why are you looking down on me? Professor Wang deliberately embarrassed Chen Mengyan, so he said with a gloomy face. Maybe there's something. Chen Mengyan frowned slightly. This Professor Wang had been saying weird things since the beginning, which made Chen Mengyan feel disgusted. Something. I want to see what it means to respect one's teacher. It's fine if I don't have a friend like you. At this moment, Professor Wang had already walked to the door of room 1601. He didn't even knock on the door. He directly pushed the door open and walked in. I don't know what kind of quality the people inside are. They are too uneducated. Professor Wang was sure that Chen Mengyan was lying to him. There was no one in the room, so he acted like this. Of course, even if there was someone in the room, since that person was a student of Songjiang Industry University, he wouldn't dare to say anything after being scolded by him. He could only endure it. He was going to be promoted to the department head soon. He also had a lot of power in the university. Even if this student wasn't from the economics department and was from another department, it didn't matter. He just had to greet the department head and he would have a good time. Therefore, this was also the reason why Professor Wang had no scruples. His words were also extremely harsh. However, what Professor Wang didn't expect was that there were actually a few people in the room. There were two girls, a boy, and an adult. They were facing away, so he couldn't see their faces clearly. Chen Mengyan didn't lie to me. This made Professor Wang even angrier. He was even angrier than when Chen Mengyan lied to him. This was because he was already prepared to scold Chen Mengyan. In the end, now that there were people in the room, he couldn't use the words that he had prepared. He suddenly became angry. Are you all students of Songjiang Industry University? Who are you? Yang Ming raised his head and coldly looked at Professor Wang, who shouted as soon as he entered the room. Who am I? I am Songjiang Industry University's Economics Department Director Wang. Why didn't you all stand up and greet me when you saw me? Professor Wang was even more unhappy with Yang Ming's disrespectful attitude. How could he not be angry when he was ignored? You said you are, so you are. You just randomly barged in. Who knows what you want to do? Yang Ming curled his lips. How can you say that? Do you have any manners? Where are your parents? How did they teach a student like you who has no manners? I think your parents are also like you, right? You have no manners, and your parents have no manners. I think you should just quit school. Professor Wang was angry. He had been holding it in for too long. He suddenly exploded and pointed at Yang Ming and scolded him. He even scolded Yang Ming's parents. Chapter 1808. Yang Ming was dumbfounded. He looked at Professor Wang in front of him and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. In fact, not all university professors were of high quality. In higher education institutions, there were also black sheep, such as Professor Wang in front of him. Whether I quit school or not, it's not up to you to decide, right? Yang Ming was amused. Moreover, you are the one who entered other people's private room and shouted. I haven't figured out your identity yet, and you scolded me. You even scolded my lord. My godfather is sitting here. Your godfather. I've been standing here for so long, and he didn't even come to shake my hand and greet me. What kind of parent is this? Bullshit godfather. Professor Wong's heart was filled with anger, so his temper was very bad. He scolded without thinking. When Professor Wong entered the door, Lu Weishan heard that his voice was a little familiar. Later, he said that he was Director Wong of the Economics Department. Lu Weishan suddenly remembered who this person was. These few days, in order to become the director, Professor Wong often came to his office. On the surface, it was to report his work, but in fact, it was to build a relationship. Lu Weishan was well aware of this. However, Lu Weishan was not short of money, and he was a decent person. He pretended not to know about Professor Wong's hint of gifts. Initially, Lu Weishan wanted to leave some face for Professor Wong, so he kept his back to him and didn't say anything. However, this Professor Wong's words were getting more and more outrageous. He even scolded Lu Weishan. This made Lu Weishan not know whether to laugh or cry, but he was really angry. Wang Benwen, are you done? Lu Weishan suddenly stood up, turned around and said to Professor Wong, what do you think you are doing in a public place? Ah. Professor Wong saw Lu Weishan and was dumbfounded. He was a little confused. Why did the vice principal, Lu Weishan, who he had been currying favor with for the past few days, come here? However, after feeling strange, Professor Wong was deeply afraid. Cold sweat flowed down his forehead. In this room, the only older person was Lu Weishan. The others were obviously students. Therefore, the godfather in Yang Ming's mouth could only be Lu Weishan. Then, the words he scolded just now were all directed at Lu Weishan. How did he scold the vice principal? Then, his position as the director, moreover, not to mention the position of the head of the department, even his position as the deputy head of the department was a problem in the future. Although he had a lot of experience, he was also old. Although there were many university professors who were re-employed after retirement, and there was no special age requirement, the person in front of him was the vice president in charge of teaching. One word from him could affect his job problems. Principal Lu, why are you here? Professor Wong was sweating profusely as he looked at Lu Weishan. He really wanted to slap himself twice. What kind of stupid mouth was this? Great, now he was completely done for. My godson is treating me to a meal, why can't I be here? Lu Weishan frowned, but you, Professor Wong, you suddenly barged in and said some strange words. What do you mean? I'm sorry, Principal Lu. I was a little emotional. I didn't choose my words carefully. Professor Wong apologized carefully, but I wasn't scolding you. I really didn't mean to scold you. You weren't scolding me. What I heard was you scolding me. Lu Weishan snorted, Professor Wong, as a professor in an institution of higher learning, we should first have the basic qualities of a person. Secondly, integrity. You were the first to barge in and scold me indiscriminately. Fine, you said you were emotional and didn't choose your words carefully. Then I won't pursue it. But, is there a problem with your integrity? You just scolded Yang Ming's godfather, not me. Is there a second godfather in this room? Professor Wong was at a loss for words. He didn't expect that his quibbling would give Lu Weishan an even worse impression. He immediately regretted it. If he knew this would happen, he would have just admitted his mistake. He could have gotten a good impression of him, but now, not only did he not win Lu Weishan's forgiveness, but he also lost a lot of points in front of him. Professor Wong was depressed. Looking at Lu Weishan's angry face, his dream of becoming a department head was definitely shattered. Moreover, this was the best plan. He would be lucky if he didn't get the position of deputy director. What was wrong with him today? Why did he do such an irrational thing? Meng Yan, you are here. Come and sit. Lu Weishan didn't bother with Professor Wang anymore. He waved at Chen Mengyan, who was a little dumbfounded. Chen Mengyan previously thought of many ways that Yang Ming could deal with Professor Wang. However, she didn't expect that Yang Ming could invite Lu Weishan and use this method to make Professor Wang back off. Of course, if Professor Wang saw Lu Weishan earlier, he would definitely back off. However, now that things had come to this point, he didn't need to talk about backing off. Whether or not he could clean up the mess was another matter. Professor Wang, right? My girlfriend and I are treating my godfather to a meal. Don't you want to sit down and eat with us? Yang Ming smiled and pulled Chen Mengyan to sit beside him. Then, he said to Professor Wang, since Godfather knows you, then I will believe that you are Professor Wang. I have offended you before, please don't take it to heart. This. Professor Wang's face turned red. Although Yang Ming's words were an apology, it was obvious that he was mocking him. This made Professor Wang feel ashamed. He lowered his head and was a little embarrassed. He didn't know what to say. Old Wang, it's not that I want to criticize you, but what you did today was really a little inappropriate. Lu Weishan shook his head and was a little disappointed. Oh right, why did you come here? Why did you come with Chen Mengyan? At this moment, how could Professor Wang dare to reveal his true purpose? Chen Mengyan was actually Lu Weishan's daughter-in-law. No matter how bold he was, he wouldn't dare to matchmake her with his own grandson. Wasn't this courting death? Professor Wang wasn't stupid to snatch a woman from the vice principal's daughter. Moreover, from Chen Mengyan's sports car, it could be seen that Chen Mengyan didn't lack money at all. She wouldn't be interested in his little family property. I really lifted a rock and smashed my own foot. Professor Wang was a little regretful. Why didn't he listen to Chen Mengyan's words, believe in her, and then give up happily? No, nothing. I'm just walking around. Professor Wang said awkwardly. Really? Walking around? Lu Weishan shook his head. You still don't want to tell the truth. Forget it. I don't want to know why you came here. You should go back and reflect on yourself. Chapter 1809. Professor Wang was very depressed. He was once again misunderstood by Lu Weishan as a liar. It was as if he could see the position of the department head growing wings and getting further and further away from him. However, he couldn't lie. If he told the truth, the ending would be even worse. He couldn't say that he wanted Chen Mengyan to be his granddaughter-in-law, right? Wouldn't that offend Lu Weishan even more? Therefore, Professor Wang had no choice but to say that he was fine and was just walking around casually. Principal Lu, I really didn't mean it. You see. Professor Wang said carefully. I won't bring my personal feelings into work. Lu Weishan said. This sentence made Professor Wang's face happy. However, Lu Weishan's next words made him feel like he was in an ice cellar. However, with your quality, you are really not suitable to be the department head. You can't set a good example. Instead, you have caused the opposite effect. Lu Weishan said, this is what I saw with my own eyes. I don't know how many I haven't seen. Professor Wang could only respond with a bitter smile. How could he explain? No matter what he said now, it would be seen as a cover-up. Therefore, he could only shut his mouth and look at Lu Weishan awkwardly. Principal Lu, I know I was wrong. All right, you can go back first. I still need to eat. I still need to discuss with the other school leaders before making a decision. Lu Weishan waved his hand, indicating that Professor Wang could leave. Professor Wang left the private room with a sullen face. He wanted to cry but had no tears. After Professor Wang left, Lu Weishan revealed a smile. He didn't care about Professor Wang's matter at all. Yang Ming, what happened? This Wang Benwen, did you know that he was coming? I don't know if Wang Benwen was coming or not. However, Meng Yan said that a professor in her class wanted to introduce his grandson to her to date. He even deliberately made things difficult for her in class. This afternoon, he even wanted to treat her to lunch to talk about this matter. I asked Meng Yan to call him over to have a good talk with him. I didn't expect him to have such an attitude. Yang Ming didn't deny and said with a smile. You brat, are you trying to take advantage of the situation? Lu Weishan was not angry because Yang Ming had not done anything out of line from beginning to end. It was just that Wang Benwen had gone too far. Before Yang Ming was ready to take advantage of the situation, he jumped out first. Hee, Godfather, you won't blame me, right? Yang Ming admitted it. He did want to use Lu Weishan to suppress Wang Benwen. Since Wang Benwen was a professor in the school, he must be working under his godfather. With his godfather's help, he wouldn't dare to have any ideas about Qin Mengyan in the future. The main problem was that Yang Ming had not realized his idea yet and Professor Wang had already scolded him. Yang Ming did not even need to prepare, nor did he need to rely on others. This guy had directly scolded his godfather, Lu Weishan. What good would that be? Why would I blame you? Lu Weishan shook his head. From this incident, I can see that you have matured a lot. I am very pleased. If it were you in the past, would you rush to the school and beat this Wang Benwen up? Ugh. Yang Ming scratched his head a little embarrassedly. However, according to his character in the past, he might really do such a thing. So, you know how to use the situation to solve it. This is your improvement. Lu Weishan continued, it's just that before you used the situation, Wang Benwen himself couldn't help it. But anyway, this matter is considered to have been resolved peacefully. If he finds trouble with Qin Mengyan again, just tell me. Okay, Godfather. Yang Ming nodded. Meng Yan, if you have this kind of thing and I'm not around, you can call your godfather directly. You can also call Sister Meng Yan. Qin Meng Yan nodded. It wasn't that she didn't consider it before, but she felt a little embarrassed to trouble Lu Weishan with this kind of thing. Well, Meng Yan, hurry up and order the dishes. We have been here for a long time. Yang Ming handed the menu to Qin Mengyan. After he picked up Lu Weishan, he picked up Zhou Jijia and Lin Jiyun. Because Qin Mengyan and Professor Wang came together, Yang Ming naturally didn't let Zhou Jijia and Lin Jiyun look for Qin Mengyan. I can eat anything. Qin Mengyan was a little embarrassed. Everyone was waiting for her, and she even brought Professor Wang, which affected everyone's mood. However, Yang Ming didn't mind. He simply ordered a few dishes and let Guo Jianchao prepare them. The atmosphere of this meal was quite good. Lu Weishan probably knew the relationship between Yang Ming, Qin Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, and Zhou Jijia, but he didn't say anything. For this kind of thing, he really couldn't say anything as an elder. Yang Ming could handle it himself. In the afternoon, Yang Ming sent Lu Weishan, Qin Mengyan, Zhou Jijia, and Lin Jiyun back to school. Then, he turned to look at Shin Yushi and brought some books on economics to her. Most of them were left by Tian Donghua at that time, and some of them were left by Zhang Bin. It was a mess and he moved them upstairs. Shin Yushi was very happy that Yang Ming could remember her and come to see her. He also brought so many books on economics. She was just trying to talk to Yang Ming. In fact, she didn't expect Yang Ming to really remember her and bring her books. Yang Ming had a lot of things to do every day. How could he remember these small things? Since Yang Ming left last time, although Shin Yushi was looking forward to the second time Yang Ming came to see her, she also knew that the greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. Shin Yushi also warned herself not to think too much. Yang Ming couldn't have anything to do with her. She should just live a down-to-earth life. Sure enough, for a long time, Yang Ming didn't come again. While Shin Yushi was disappointed, she also comforted herself. This is normal. If Yang Ming was still very active, then there would be a problem. However, Shin Yushi did not expect that after such a long time, Yang Ming would really come to her door again. He even kept his promise last time and brought books. This made Shin Yushi surprised and happy. Seeing Yang Ming come, Shin Yushi's mother was also very happy. She naturally knew what her daughter was thinking every day. Although Shin Yushi didn't admit it, how could Shin Yushi's mother not understand? However, Shin Yushi's mother also knew that her daughter's wishful thinking was simply unrealistic. Not to mention that her legs were now disabled and she couldn't stand up. Even if there were no problems, Yang Ming might not like her daughter. However, thinking was just thinking. She still hoped that Yang Ming could come to see her daughter often and enlighten her. Now, Shin Yushi's mother was afraid that Shin Yushi would take things too hard and do something stupid. She didn't dare to go to the stall every day. She only let Father Shin go to the stall alone while she accompanied her daughter at home. Chapter 18:10. After Yang Ming left last time, her daughter was really happy for a while. Mother Shin saw it and naturally hoped that Yang Ming could come again. Mr. Yang, you can still come to see my Yushi despite your busy schedule. Mother Shin warmly welcomed Yang Ming in, which made Yang Ming a little embarrassed. Auntie, don't say that. Shin Yushi is an employee of our company. I will naturally come to see her. Yang Ming said with a smile. Shin Yushi was lying on the bed and reading a book quietly. She heard the door of the house, followed by her mother's voice. At first, Shin Yushi did not pay attention and thought that it was the neighbor. During this time, it was meaningless for her mother to accompany her at home alone. Some neighbors who had nothing to do also came to accompany her mother to talk and chat. Shin Yushi did not care. She had told her mother many times that she would not take things too hard, but her mother did not listen and still accompanied her. Shin Yushi did not say anything. After a while, maybe her mother would be relieved. Now, Shin Yushi's mood had calmed down. Although she could not walk, she learned some business management knowledge. Bao Sonli said that she could go back to work so that she did not have to stay at home every day. However, Shin Yushi did not hear the voices in the living room, but she heard footsteps coming from afar to her room door. Then, there was the sound of the door being pushed open. Shin Yushi did not care. She did not look up from her book. Mom, who is here? Why did he leave so soon? Mr. Yang is here, little she. Mother Shin said, look at you. You are not dressed properly. What do you look like? Shin Yushi was lying on the bed, so she naturally did not wear too much. It was already summer. Shin Yushi only wore a small singlet and pajama pants. She did not wear a bra under the singlet. The contents inside were faintly discernible, which made Yang Ming feel a little excited. It was undeniable that Shin Yushi was very beautiful. Otherwise, Lu Xiaojun and others would not have such a beastly reaction. It was a pity that Shin Yushi could not stand up and could only live in a wheelchair. This made Yang Ming very sad. Yang Ming turned his head away unnaturally. He did not want to look at Shin Yushi, but his mouth was still dry. I'll go out first, auntie. I'll come in after Shin Yushi puts on her clothes. What are you going out for? There's no need to avoid it. Mother Shin quickly said, Yushi, just cover yourself with a blanket. In the past, if it weren't for Yang Ming, Mother Shin wouldn't have let Yang Ming in so casually. Her daughter was wearing so little. However, it was different now. The doctors in the hospital had already made it clear to Mother Shin that it was almost impossible for Shin Yushi to stand up. There was no feeling below the waist. It was not a problem with the bones. The bones could be slowly healed. The main problem was the nerves. Nerve problems were the most difficult to cure. Mother Shin naturally saw that her daughter liked Yang Ming. Now, she did not expect Yang Ming to like Shin Yushi. Which normal person with a family background like Yang Ming would like a girl who laid in bed every day? She only hoped that Yang Ming could spend more time with her daughter. Even if he lied to her and did it half-heartedly, as long as her daughter was happy, it was fine. Therefore, she let Yang Ming in when her daughter was wearing so little. In fact, Mother Shin also wanted to seduce Yang Ming. If Yang Ming was moved by her daughter, it would naturally be best. Even if her daughter could not stand up from the bed, she was still a beautiful girl. If the two of them had a little ambiguity, regardless of whether Yang Ming was sincere or not, or if he was just being impulsive, it would make her daughter happy. This was what Mother Shin wanted to see. When she saw Yang Ming's eyes staring at her daughter's chest, Mother Shin felt that her plan would succeed. However, in the blink of an eye, Yang Ming's eyes moved away again. He wanted to go out, which made Mother Shin slightly disappointed. However, this disappointment could not be said. She could only let her daughter cover herself with a quilt. Shin Yushi was a little embarrassed. She shyly pulled a towel and covered herself. Yang Ming, you two talk. I will go and make tea. Mother Shin knew that she had to create an opportunity for her daughter. She turned and left the room, leaving Yang Ming and Shin Yushi alone. After Mother Shin left, Shin Yushi smiled at Yang Ming apologetically. Sorry, my mother. She was a little too enthusiastic. It's okay, hee. Yang Ming handed the bag in his hand to Shin Yushi. This is some information on economic management. I brought it for you. You can take a look at it when you have time. Thank you. Shin Yushi happily took the information bag that Yang Ming handed to her. What are you thanking me for? Yang Ming said, study hard. When you go to the company in the future, I have already arranged a special office for you. Auntie will be your personal secretary. She will also get a salary. This. Shin Yushi did not expect Yang Ming to be so good to her. Not only did he leave a job for her, but he also arranged a job for her mother. She was a little excited. Director Yang, thank you. I already said to call me Yang Ming. Why are you calling me Director Yang? Yang Ming broke into a sweat. If you call me that again in the future, I will not come to see you. And then I will call you Yang Ming. Shin Yushi nodded happily. The closer she was to Yang Ming, the happier she was. Do you feel your legs? Yang Ming asked. Shin Yushi's expression darkened. She shook her head. Not yet, but I don't want to. It is already very good to be alive. I have to go out in a few days. When I come back, I will help you find a way. Yang Ming sighed. Shin Yushi can't go on like this. Is her life going to be delayed like this? Yang Ming was good to Shin Yushi. On the one hand, it was out of sympathy for her. On the other hand, it was also because Yang Ming had previously spread that she was his lover in the nightless club. Although Yang Ming had denied it, since this kind of thing had happened, it would be heartless for Yang Ming to deny it again. Some people who did not know the truth thought that he had abandoned Shin Yushi because she could not stand up. Therefore, Yang Ming simply took care of it to the end. And, thank you. Although Shinyushi did not have much hope for this, she still nodded happily. At least Yang Ming could run around for her. What are you thanking me for? Yang Ming waved his hand. He didn't know if he should tell Shinyushi about his trip to Yunnan. However, after thinking about it, he decided to give up. Now, Shinyushi regarded him as her spiritual support. Although she did not say it, Yang Ming could feel it. If he went to Yunnan and could not come back, would Shinyushi still have the confidence and hope to live on? This was not what Yang Ming wanted to see, so Yang Ming decided to give Shinyushi space to daydream and look forward to it. Chapter 1811. I'll go back first. Call me directly if you need anything. Yang Ming did not stay for long. After giving the books to Shinyushi, he was ready to get up and leave. Although Shinyushi was a little reluctant, she also knew that Yang Ming was actually very busy every day. It was not easy for him to have time to visit her, so she pursed her lips and did not say anything to make him stay. Yang Ming, I will study hard. She was a smart girl. She knew that there were too many impossibilities between her and Yang Ming, so she would not easily reveal her feelings. She understood that Yang Ming brought so many books just out of sympathy. He hoped that she would have something to do and be strong enough to live on. In fact, Shinyushi had already thought it through. She would not be so stupid to think about suicide. Even so, she had to realize her dream through her own efforts. If she died, what would happen to her parents? Shinyushi could not do such a stupid thing. Therefore, she expressed her determination to Yang Ming. This was also what Yang Ming wanted to see. Well, I have already told Bao Sanli. Yang Ming nodded and smiled. You don't have to read all the books before going to work. When you feel that you are almost ready, you can go to work. Whether you live in the company or here, Bao Sanli will arrange a special car to pick you up every day. You can practice and learn at the same time. Thank you, Yang Ming. Shinyushi was very moved. Although Yang Ming's kindness to her might be out of sympathy, it was enough. Yang Ming walked out of Shinyushi's dilapidated community. He looked at the dazzling sun in the sky and sighed slightly. He could not do anything about Shinyushi's condition. Not to mention him, even the doctors in the hospital could not do anything. Yang Ming thought of his godfather, Lu Weishan. Lu Weishan had a high prestige in the academic world. He was also very familiar with the famous brain expert, Zhong Hanlin. Perhaps his godfather knew an expert in neurology. When he was eating just now, he had forgotten about this. Now that he remembered, Yang Ming took out his phone and hurriedly dialed Lu Weishan's number. There was no other reason. Yang Ming just felt that Shinyushi was too pitiful. At her age, she should not have to suffer all this. She should be at an age full of sunshine and romance. Yang Ming. You've just finished your meal, and now you're looking for godfather. Lu Weishan was thinking about Professor Wang's problem in his office. He definitely could not let Professor Wang become the department head. However, should he let Professor Wang become the deputy head? Lu Weishan was in a bit of a dilemma. If he were to take him down, it would seem like he was abusing his authority to avenge a personal grudge. After all, this was a private conflict with him. However, if he didn't take him down, it would be hard for him to trust this person's character. But after all, Professor Wang had been the deputy director for so many years. It would not look good for him if he suddenly took over the position. Forget it, I'll just let him be a deputy investigator. He'll have the same rank as the deputy director. I'll give him some face. Godfather, I want to ask you. Do you know any neurological medical experts? Asked Yang Ming. Why, Yang Ming? Why are you suddenly asking about this? Lu Weishan was a little puzzled. Logically speaking, Yang Ming would not be interested in this for no reason. It's like this. I have a friend who jumped down from a building and damaged the nerves in her legs. Now, she can't feel her lower body and can't walk. I want to help her and see if there's any hope of curing her. Yang Ming did not hide it and told him his purpose honestly. Oh. So it's like this. I remember now. Isn't it the girl who was forced to jump from a building by a few hooligans in your company a while ago? Her name is Shin something. Lu Weishan had also seen this news report in the newspaper. Her name is Shin Yushi. That's her. Yang Ming did not expect his godfather to remember her name. Well, I don't know much about the medical world. How about this? I'll call my old friend, Zhong Hanlin. He is a leading figure in the medical world. I can ask him. Lu Weishan said, Yang Ming, wait for my call. I'll call him now. Okay, godfather. Yang Ming hung up the phone. No matter what, he had to do his best. Only when he had tried his best would he have no regrets. Yang Ming drove the car in the direction of the villa. He had not contacted Zhao Ying for several days. He had promised her that he would accompany her to the spring outing. Perhaps this was the last spring outing. Yang Ming was not sure if he could come back safely from Yunnan. So this time, it could be considered as a showdown with Zhao Ying. Not long after arriving home, Yang Ming turned on the computer and connected to the internet. Lu Weishan's call came back. Hello, godfather. Yang Ming quickly picked up the phone. Yang Ming, I told Zhong Hanlin about Shin Yushi's situation, but old Zhong said that Western medicine is helpless in many aspects of neurological problems. Lu Weishan said, but in Chinese medicine, it is called meridians. If the meridians are not smooth, it will lead to the current situation. The best treatment is acupuncture. Acupuncture. Yang Ming was slightly stunned. Why didn't I think of acupuncture? Yes, in Chinese medicine, the nerves were called meridians. Acupuncture had a very magical effect. It seemed that he had walked into the wrong direction from the beginning and thought that surgery could solve the problem. Yes. Lu Weishan said, if there is hope, then it is acupuncture. Godfather, then in terms of Chinese medicine acupuncture, can Professor Zhong introduce a better expert? Yang Ming didn't know much about this. There is a good person. The famous acupuncture master in the country, Miracle Dr. Lin Dongfang. But he has not appeared in the public eye for 10 years. No one knows where he went. If he is there, Shin Yushi can fully recover. It can be said that there is no problem at all. In the past, there was a person who was injured and whose meridians were completely broken. Under Miracle Dr. Lin's treatment, he gradually recovered. Lu Weishan sighed, 10 years ago, I also heard of this name, but there has been no news for many years, living in seclusion. Yang Ming was stunned and a little disappointed. I don't know. No one knows. Lu Weishan said, we can never figure out the thoughts of some experts. In the past, Miracle Dr. Lin could be said to have suddenly disappeared when he was at the peak of fame and fortune. A person like me, who is indifferent to fame and fortune, can't completely disappear from people's sight like him. If that's the case. Yang Ming sighed, it seems that it is still a little difficult to find Miracle Dr. Lin, but you don't have to be discouraged. In the past, you met Miracle Dr. Lin once. A Chinese medicine doctor who was taught by him is now very famous. Although he is not as famous as Miracle Dr. Lin, he is also a miracle doctor in the field of acupuncture. Lu Weishan said, old Zhong recommended him to me, but I have seen this person a few times. He is not far from us. Chapter 1812. Oh. Yang Ming was pleasantly surprised after listening to Lu Weishan's words. Godfather, can you contact this acupuncture sage? We spoke a few words during the meeting. He is the dean of the School of Chinese Medicine at the Medical University. His name is Guan Xuemin. Lu Weishan said, Little Guan is a good person. He is like me. He is a person who likes to pursue academic research. He is indifferent to money and status. Otherwise, he would have left this place long ago when many big hospitals are poaching him with high salaries. Guan Xuemin. Yang Ming had no impression of this. He didn't understand the matters of the medical world. Godfather, can you help to contact Dean Guan? I will bring Shen Yushi to visit him. This is a small matter. Little Guan will give me face no matter what. Lu Weishan laughed. If you are in a hurry, I will call him now. I've already gotten his number. I think old Zhong has already informed him in advance. Then I will trouble you, Godfather. Yang Ming said quickly. You brat, don't mention trouble to me. Lu Weishan shook his head with a smile and hung up the phone. Yang Ming logged into QQ. During this period of time abroad, he didn't go on QQ. It was not that he didn't want to, but this time the situation was more special. After that, there was a mission from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Yang Ming didn't want to leave his traces outside. DDD. A burst of crisp messages came. Yang Ming opened them one by one. There were messages from Zhang Bin, Chen Mengyan, Zhao Ying, and even from Suya. Boss, we have returned safely. Please rest assured. Contact me when you are back. This message was sent by Zhang Bin. Yang Ming had already sent a text message to Zhang Bin when he came back, so there was no need to reply to this message. Yang Ming closed it directly. Chen Mingyan's message was similar. There were words from Zhou Jiejia and Lin Jiyun, but they were mostly the same. They all expressed their longing. Yang Ming had already seen them at noon, so naturally, he didn't need to reply. Suya's message was nothing more than telling Yang Ming how busy she was. In fact, it was nothing important. Yang Ming just gave her a few words of encouragement and expressed his love. Finally, there was news about Zhao Ying. Are you there? True feelings. Why aren't they here yet? The spring outing is this weekend. Can you come? Contact me when you get online. You didn't stand me up, did you? Anger. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. It seemed that Zhao Ying was worried that he had not been online for a long time. He quickly replied, I'm here. I just came back. Don't worry, I'll definitely make it in time for your spring outing. It didn't take long for Zhao Ying's message to reply, you finally appeared. I thought you disappeared. I naturally have to do what I promised you. Tell me, when is it? I'm ready. I'm on standby. Yang Ming replied. This weekend, Saturday morning at 9:00, we will gather at the entrance of Songjiang Industry University. Those who have a car can drive by themselves. Those who don't have a car will take the bus. Zhao Ying said, do you have a car? Yes. Yang Ming replied. Then, are you coming to pick me up? I live in the Huashang district opposite the university. Zhao Ying said. No problem, 8:30. Yang Ming asked. Okay. Zhao Ying's answer was very concise. Then, I'll see you on Saturday at 8:30. Yang Ming said. This time, Zhao Ying's attitude made Yang Ming a little confused. When Zhao Ying looked for him previously, she was a little shy. She was not as generous as this time. What happened this time? In fact, the reason why Zhao Ying was so straightforward this time was that she had already made up her mind. She couldn't figure out how she felt about "there's no true love in this world." If she said that she liked him, Xiaoying didn't believe it. How could she like a netizen? But if she said that she didn't like him, Xiaoying really felt that she was a little moved. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so angry when Fan Jinja said those words in the elevator. Therefore, Xiaoying also wanted to take this opportunity to confirm her feelings. All along, Xiaoying had regarded "there's no true love in this world" as a substitute for Yang Ming's feelings. Although Xiaoying also understood that this was a deformed relationship and she couldn't be like this, she couldn't control her feelings. In some ways, "there's no true love in this world" was so similar to Yang Ming that she couldn't extricate herself from it. As for this spring outing, Xiaoying had already thought it through. If she only treated "there's no true love in this world" as a substitute for her own feelings, then when she saw him in person, her feelings would instantly vanish into thin air. Because he was never Yang Ming. No matter how similar he was, he couldn't replace Yang Ming. Things on the internet were still illusory. After meeting in person, there would be many differences. First of all, the appearance would be different. There were also personal habits and the way of dealing with people. These were not the same. The feeling of chatting on the internet was just the feeling of words. If compared with these, it was nothing. Xiaoying couldn't treat him as Yang Ming just because they talked a little alike. This was also the reason why Xiaoying was determined to meet "there's no true love in this world" this time. Of course, these weren't things that Yang Ming could guess. If Yang Ming knew Xiaoying's real thoughts, he would definitely not know whether to laugh or cry. After chatting with Xiaoying, his godfather, Lu Weishan's phone call came in again. Yang Ming picked up the phone. "Godfather. Yang Ming, I have already talked to little Guan. He is free tonight. You can bring Shin Yushi over at around 5:00 in the evening. He should have just gotten off work at that time." Lu Weishan said. He lives in the villa area of the medical university's family compound. Before you enter, you can call his home and say that he is my godson. Little Guan's phone number is XXXXX. Okay, godfather. I have noted it down. Yang Ming quickly created a file on the computer and recorded Guan Xuemin's phone number first. Well, then let's leave it at that. Let me know if you have any results tonight. I have to go to a meeting now, Lu Weishan said. Okay, godfather. Yang Ming hung up the phone and smiled bitterly. He had just left Shin Yushi's place, and now he had to go back. However, if he could really cure Shin Yushi's injury, Yang Ming didn't feel that it was troublesome. He sent a text message to Chen Mengyan, telling her that he had something to do tonight. He had to deal with Shin Yushi's matter and might come back later. Chen Mengyan also knew about Shin Yushi's matter and knew that she was an employee of her company. Although she also heard the rumor that she was his lover, Chen Mengyan didn't show much jealousy. She also understood that it was probably just a rumor, and the truth wasn't so. Chapter 1813. Moreover, with Yang Ming's character, if Shin Yushi was really his woman, then Lu Xiaojun and the others wouldn't be so simple as going to prison. Chen Mengyan was very clear about Yang Ming's character, so her attitude towards Shin Yushi was also very generous. She never said anything about Yang Ming visiting Shin Yushi. First of all, Yang Ming and Shin Yushi didn't have much interaction. Secondly, even if she believed that there was something between Yang Ming and Shin Yushi, Chen Mengyan wouldn't think that there was anything between Shin Yushi and Yang Ming, because the two people were in different positions and living environments. Chen Mengyan was worried that Yang Ming would pity and sympathize with Shin Yushi. If he visited her too many times, he would develop feelings for her over time. However, Chen Mengyan couldn't say this concern. After all, Shin Yushi was very pitiful. How could she stop Yang Ming and Shin Yushi from interacting because of her little thoughts? That would make her seem too petty. She had to be on guard against things that didn't happen. This was not the demeanor of a woman who understood and tolerated. Chen Mengyan only understood at this moment how difficult it was to be a real girlfriend. She used to think that she was very good and was Yang Ming's absolute number one, but now, Chen Mengyan was mentally and physically exhausted. Although she was a real girlfriend, she couldn't ignore Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jiejia's feelings. If she wanted to unite the two of them, she had to show the necessary generosity. She had to restrain herself at all times. She couldn't be too arrogant in front of Yang Ming because she was pampered. It was so tiring. Chen Mengyan quickly replied to Yang Ming's message, telling him to pay attention to his safety on the road. If he didn't come back for dinner at night, he had to tell her. Chen Mengyan's tolerance and understanding were also seen by Yang Ming. Chen Mengyan had really grown up. She was no longer the little girl from a year ago. Yang Ming was very gratified, but he was faintly worried. He didn't know why Chen Mengyan could accept Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jieji. Why couldn't she accept Zhao Ying? Was it because Zhao Ying was her former teacher? But now it was no longer the case. Now, everyone was a classmate, however, these were not too important. Yang Ming didn't have absolute confidence in this trip to Yunnan. It was still unknown whether he could come back alive. It didn't matter if Chen Mengyan liked Zhao Ying or hated her and didn't accept her. After he left, the contradiction between the two people would naturally be resolved. Yang Ming turned off the computer and left the villa. He was ready to drive to Shin Yushi's house. At the entrance of the villa, he unexpectedly saw Wang Xiaoyan and Zhao Ying. I just chatted on the internet, and I met them here. But Zhao Ying didn't know that the person she was chatting with was me. Yan Yan, Sister Ying. Yang Ming smiled and greeted them. Sister Ying and I are going to school. Are you coming? Wang Xiaoyan didn't have anything to do with Yang Ming. She greeted him naturally, but Zhao Ying was a little embarrassed. She thought about how she actually asked an online friend to go on a spring outing with her. What would Yang Ming think if he knew? Thinking of this, Zhao Ying regretted doing so. If Yang Ming knew that I met with an online friend, he would definitely be very angry, right? Thinking of this, the expression on Zhao Ying's face was a little unnatural. Sister Ying, I heard that your economics department has a spring outing this weekend. Yang Ming asked as if nothing had happened. Ah. Zhao Ying's heart tightened. Could it be that Yang Ming knew something? Suddenly, her face was a little red. It should be. How did Yang Ming know that the economics department has a spring outing? Oh, yes. Zhao Ying suddenly remembered. Wasn't Chen Mengyan also in the economics department? This spring outing of the economics department not only had graduate students, but also ordinary undergraduates. Thinking of this, Zhao Ying was a little worried. What if Yang Ming and I meet? For a moment, Zhao Ying was a little worried. She didn't know if her decision was right or not, hee. Then it's nothing. I was just asking. Yang Ming smiled and nodded. I won't go to school. I have other things to do. You guys go ahead. That's fine. Be careful on the road. Come and find me at night. Wang Xiaoyan lowered her voice and whispered in Yang Ming's ear. Yang Ming naturally understood the meaning of her words. She wanted him to wait for Chen Mengyan and the others to fall asleep, then climb over the wall of the villa to find her. Why did it sound like cheating? Yang Ming touched his nose, smiled bitterly, and nodded. When Wang Xiaoyan said this, although her voice was low, Zhao Ying on the side could still hear it clearly. However, Wang Xiaoyan didn't avoid Zhao Ying. Zhao Ying was also very clear about her relationship with Yang Ming. If she avoided it, it would seem that she deliberately went behind her back. Therefore, Wang Xiaoyan had been very generous, which made Zhao Ying a little embarrassed. Zhao Ying felt that she was a little too cautious. If only she was bold like Wang Xiaoyan. Zhao Ying and Wang Xiaoyan walked in the direction of the school together. Yang Ming silently walked to the villa's garage. He planned not to go out at night, so Yang Ming parked the car in the garage. He didn't expect to go out as soon as he came back. Yan Yan, why are you so bold? How could you say such a thing? Zhao Ying waited for Yang Ming to walk away before she whispered to Wang Xiaoyan. Wang Xiaoyan's words just now made Zhao Ying blush. Bold. Wang Xiaoyan smiled, but there was a hint of worry and depression in her smile. Perhaps there will be no chance to be bold in the future. Wang Xiaoyan naturally referred to the matter that Yang Ming was going to Yunnan. Only she and Victoria knew about this matter. They didn't tell Zhao Ying, so Zhao Ying wasn't clear. Wang Xiaoyan didn't say it too clearly. Zhao Ying thought that Wang Xiaoyan was talking about Chen Mingyan's matter. Yang Ming had to make a decision sooner or later. At that time, if Chen Mingyan didn't welcome Wang Xiaoyan, then Wang Xiaoyan's words would become a reality. Zhao Ying misunderstood Wang Xiaoyan's intention. Zhao Ying nodded, sighed, and didn't say anything. The two walked quickly in the direction of the school. Yang Ming quickly drove back to Shin Yushi's home. It was already 3:00 in the afternoon. It would take more than an hour to reach Shin Yushi's home, pick her up, and go to Professor Guan's house, so Yang Ming had to speed up. After a few hours, even Yang Ming felt a little magical when he went to Shin Yushi's house again. After knocking on the door, Mother Shin's voice came from the house. "Who is it?" "Auntie, it's me, Yang Ming," said Yang Ming with a bitter smile. With a click, the door was opened. Mother Shin saw Yang Ming inside, and her face showed a surprised expression. "Mr. Yang, why are you back again?" "Ugh, please don't misunderstand. It's not that I don't welcome you. It's just a little strange." Chapter 18:14. Mother Shen was afraid that Yang Ming would think too much. After all, her previous tone sounded like she didn't welcome Yang Ming's second visit. Therefore, she quickly explained again, afraid that Yang Ming would misunderstand. Of course, Yang Ming naturally wouldn't misunderstand. Yang Ming naturally saw Mother Shen's attitude. This was a mother's desire for her daughter's future happiness. If Shin Yushi's legs were fine, even if Mother Shen fancied his family background, there was no need for her daughter to come to him. After all, he had a girlfriend. Mother Shen should know about this. However, Mother Shen's attitude now was completely to let her daughter come to him. She also understood that it was very lonely and terrible for Shin Yushi to lie in bed without anyone to rely on for a lifetime. It was fine now that her daughter was young, but what about when she was old? She and her father were old. What should we do when we couldn't take care of her? Should the family of three wait for death in the room? Therefore, Mother Shen had to think about the long term. She wanted to curry favor with Yang Ming and further improve the relationship between Yang Ming and her daughter. Yang Ming certainly wouldn't despise Mother Shen's snobbery. This was human nature. Yang Ming could understand her feelings as a parent. He, of course not. Auntie Shen, I can see that you welcome me very much. Yang Ming smiled and explained to Mother Shen. Yes. Mother Shen nodded. I want you to come every day. But Mr. Yang, you have a lot of things to do. You are too busy. How can you come every day? I'm already very happy to be able to come here once every month or half a month. Oh, Auntie, you should call me Yang Ming. How many times have I told you not to call me Director Yang or Mr. Yang? I don't feel comfortable hearing it. Yang Ming couldn't help it. He had said this more than once. How can that be? You are the leader of Little She's company. Mother Shin said quickly. Then, if you call me that again, I won't come next time. Yang Ming felt a little awkward when he heard that. He and Shin Yushi were of the same age. If Shin Yushi's mother called him Mr. Yang or Director Yang, it would not be the case. Alright, then I'll call you Yang Ming. Mother Shin heard Yang Ming's words and quickly changed her words. In fact, she also wanted to be closer to Yang Ming and not be so estranged, but she didn't dare to. Since Yang Ming said so, then there should be no problem. Auntie, is Yushi still here? Yang Ming couldn't handle the enthusiastic Mother Shin, so he could only change the topic. Yes, yes. She's still in the room. You can go straight to her. Mother Shin said. Auntie, it's like this. I've contacted a famous TCM acupuncture expert. He might be able to improve Yushi's condition, so I plan to take her to have a look. Is there any problem? Yang Ming naturally had to seek Mother Shin's opinion in advance. However, how could Mother Shin have any opinion? Seeing that Yang Ming was so concerned about her daughter's matter, she was suddenly very happy. Of course, there's no problem. Thank you so much, Yang Ming. Auntie, you're too polite. Yang Ming smiled. This is what I should do. Then, I'll go in and see Yushi and tell her. Okay, okay. Mother Shin nodded. Yang Ming turned and walked to Shin Yushi's room. He wanted to push the door and go in directly, but it was a girl's room after all. It was somewhat inconvenient. Yang Ming knocked on the door. Come in. Shin Yushi naturally didn't expect Yang Ming to come back. She thought it was her mother. She didn't know what happened to her mother today. Why did she have to knock on the door? However, she still answered. When Yang Ming heard Shin Yushi's voice, he pushed the door and walked in. However, after he entered, he looked at Shin Yushi with some astonishment. Shin Yushi's lower body was naked. Her legs were on the quilt and were directly exposed to the air. When Shin Yushi saw that the person who came in was actually Yang Ming, she was a little dumbfounded. She didn't expect Yang Ming to come back. She thought it was her mother, so she didn't care at all. Her legs couldn't move. Shin Yushi naturally didn't want to leave them there for a long time and develop bedsores, so she would put them outside to see the sun for a while every day. But she didn't expect. Shin Yushi had forgotten to exclaim at this moment. Her legs couldn't move, and she couldn't take them back. She just looked at Yang Ming foolishly, not knowing what to do. In fact, Mother Shin naturally knew that Shin Yushi had this habit every afternoon. However, the person who came was Yang Ming. She was happy not to remind her. Anyway, there was a lot of ambiguity between her daughter and Yang Ming. Naturally, there was no harm. If it were another person, Mother Shin definitely wouldn't let him break into her daughter's room like this. Ugh. I'm sorry. I'll go out first. Yang Ming was a little embarrassed suddenly. Although he could easily see this with his special ability, Yang Ming never used his special ability to do these things. This kind of thing that he accidentally saw still made Yang Ming's blood boil. Although Yang Ming didn't see very clearly, this kind of unclear and hazy feeling made his heart beat faster. Shin Yushi reacted at this time. She quickly grabbed a towel and covered her lower body. She blushed a little. You don't have to go out. I'm just afraid of getting bedsores. I need to see the sun every day. You don't have to explain. It's my fault. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. I'm sorry, Yushi. Although Shin Yushi was now like this, she was still a pure girl after all. Yang Ming felt somewhat guilty that he had seen it. It's nothing. Really. Shin Yushi actually didn't care about being seen by Yang Ming. She was just a little embarrassed. In her opinion, if Yang Ming was interested in her, she would only be happier. So, after Yang Ming saw that she was a little embarrassed, Shin Yushi was a little happy instead. Well, then let's not talk about this. Yang Ming awkwardly changed the topic. Yushi, I came back to find you because I want to tell you that my godfather helped me contact a Chinese medicine acupuncture master. It may be effective for your leg. Really? Shin Yushi originally didn't have any hope for her leg, but when she heard Yang Ming say this, she was suddenly a little happy. Yang Ming, are you saying that my leg can still be saved? I can't say whether you can stand up or not, but my godfather said that the person is an expert in the field of acupuncture, so I think it should be possible to recover consciousness. Yang Ming didn't dare to guarantee. Naturally, he wouldn't say it with full confidence. It would only make Shin Yushi more hopeful and more disappointed. However, he couldn't say that there was no hope at all. It would hurt Shin Yushi's confidence in the treatment. Therefore, Yang Ming just said that it should be possible to recover consciousness. This also gave Shin Yushi confidence and made her look forward to it. Chapter 1815. Sure enough, Shin Yushi was already very happy when she heard Yang Ming's words. If I can regain my consciousness, then there is hope. Yang Ming, thank you so much. You put in so much effort for me. Yushi, what are you talking about? As long as you focus on your treatment, there should be a day where you can stand up again. That is your gratitude to me. Yang Ming said, Yushi, as long as you have confidence, it's fine. Shin Yushi nodded. She was already very happy when Yang Ming said so. Even if she did not have confidence before, she had it now. I will go out first. You change your clothes, and then we will go to Professor Guan together. After Yang Ming finished speaking, he left Shin Yushi's room. Shin Yushi was changing her clothes, so naturally, Yang Ming could not be present. Previously, he had seen it unintentionally. However, if he stood in her room and waited for her to change her clothes, it would not be the case. Shin Yushi seemed to have thought of the previous awkwardness and nodded. After Yang Ming left the room, he saw Mother Shin sitting on the sofa in the living room. She looked in the direction of Shin Yushi's room with an expectant gaze. When she saw Yang Ming coming out, she immediately shifted her gaze away embarrassedly. Yang Ming naturally understood Mother Shin's mood, but he could not say anything. He just smiled and said, Auntie, Shin Yushi is changing her clothes. You can help her. Oh, okay. Mother Shin heard and quickly got up to help Shin Yushi change her clothes. However, she was a little disappointed. Why didn't Yang Ming help her personally? Looking at Mother Shin, who did not close the door intentionally or unintentionally, Yang Ming smiled bitterly and shook his head. Yang Ming naturally would not peek inside. Even if he did, the effect of closing the door was the same for Yang Ming. However, Yang Ming was not the kind of person who liked to peek at others. After a while, Mother Shin's voice came from the room. Yang Ming, Yushi has changed her clothes. Now, Yang Ming then quickly walked into the room. Sure enough, he saw that Shin Yushi was already dressed neatly. Her hair was also tidied up and tied back. It was not as loose as before. Although there was no makeup on her face, she still looked elegant and charming. Yushi, I'll carry you down. There were no other men in Shin Yushi's house. Father Shin had gone to set up a stall, so Yang Ming would not let Mother Shin carry Shin Yushi. Shin Yushi nodded, a little embarrassed. She was looking forward to it. The fragrance of the girl's body and the softness of her chest made Yang Ming lose himself for a moment. It was undeniable that Shin Yushi was the most outstanding woman that Yang Ming had ever seen. However, Yang Ming also knew that now was not the time to think about this kind of thing. Not to mention whether he could come back from Yunnan. Even if he could come back, it was more important to treat Shin Yushi's illness first. As for other things, it was better to wait. Mother Shin's face was full of smiles as she watched Yang Ming carry her daughter downstairs. In fact, Mother Shin's strength was not small. When Father Shin was not at home, Mother Shin would carry Shin Yushi back and forth. However, with Yang Ming around, Mother Shin naturally would not show off her ability. Even if she could carry her, she had to pretend that she had no strength. Otherwise, her daughter would probably resent her, right? Mother Shin was naturally relieved to hand Shin Yushi over to Yang Ming. She could see that Yang Ming was the kind of gentleman who would not do anything to her daughter. However, even if he wanted to do something, Yushi, this child, would probably be very happy, right? Mother Shin thought to herself. Yang Ming put Shin Yushi in the front passenger seat of the car, closed the door for her, and then got in the car. However, just as he was about to start the car, a young man who was as strong as an ox suddenly blocked the front of the car. Yang Ming was shocked and quickly stepped on the brakes. He then looked strangely at the man who was as strong as an ox in front of the car. When Shin Yushi saw the man rushing over, she also exclaimed, "Ah! Where are you taking my sister?" The young man standing in front of the car pointed at Yang Ming and asked, "Your sister?" Yang Ming was stunned. "Kwangyo, what are you doing?" "He is taking me to see a doctor." Shin Yushi helplessly explained to the young man under the car. This young man was called Shin Kwangyo, Shin Yushi's cousin. He came to visit Shin Yushi today. However, just as he arrived downstairs, he saw a man carrying his sister into the car and was about to drive away. So, Shin Kwangyo suddenly became anxious and rushed over without caring about his life. He also knew about Shin Yushi's previous affairs. He also knew that some men always coveted his sister, so Shin Kwangyo subconsciously thought that Yang Ming was a man who wanted to kidnap his sister to do bad things. However, after hearing his sister's words, it seemed that it was not what he had imagined. His sister did not seem to be coerced. However, Shin Kwangyo still did not dare to take it lightly. What if this guy deceived his sister with his sweet words? Moreover, this guy's car must be worth a lot of money, right? It was a BMW. Although he did not know the specific price, it was definitely not cheap. Such a person should not have any intersection with his sister, but he still wanted to take his sister to see a doctor. This made Shin Kwangyo suspicious. Is he plotting something? According to common sense, his sister's leg was already broken. This person should not pursue his sister. However, a broken leg did not mean that her beauty was bad. As long as she did not walk, his sister was still beautiful. Therefore, Shin Kwangyo suspected that this man who drove the luxury car was preparing to take his sister to a certain place. He lied to her that he was going to see a doctor, but in fact, he was going to do something to her. He had to be on guard. That was why Shin Kwangyo stopped the car. He looked at Yang Ming with some suspicion. Who are you? Where are you taking my sister to see a doctor? This. He is my cousin, Shin Kwangyo. He has no malicious intentions. Shin Yushi was afraid that Yang Ming would be angry, so she quickly introduced Shin Kwangyo's identity to Yang Ming. Oh, so he is your younger brother. Yang Ming laughed after listening. It was normal for him to care about Shin Yushi. Moreover, he was so serious and responsible. It seemed that the relationship between sister and brother was usually good. I am talking to you. Don't be so cheeky. Do you believe that I will smash your car with one punch? Shin Kwangyo saw that Yang Ming did not answer his question, so he raised his fist to scare him. First of all, I am the boss of your sister's company. She is an employee of the company. It is normal for me to take her to see a doctor. Yang Ming explained with a smile. Secondly, you asked about where to see a doctor. I will tell you. We are going to the family courtyard of the medical university to find Professor Guan Xuemin, the boss of the company. Shen Kuangniu was slightly stunned. He looked at Shen Yushi with some doubts. Shen Yushi nodded. This time, Shen Kuangniu also believed Yang Ming's words. He suddenly remembered the rumors about his sister that he had heard before. It was said that she was the lover of the boss of the company. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.